Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to PanGeekery Podcast, a weekly live video podcast celebrating all things geek from an all-diverse perspective. We're going to be talking about movies, films, TV, video games, and books, covering all the nooks and crannies of fandom. My name is Earl. I am an actor, improviser, and I started playing guitar when I was 9.
Awesome.
Amazing. Hi, I'm Jen. I am an actor / writer / immersive theater creator and actoree. I'm sure that's a word, right? And so I, as a child, played a lot of Dynasty Warriors.
Ooh, that's a good game.
Hey guys, my name is Kaitlyn, and I am an actor, a singer, a writer, and a director. And I guess we're sharing little-known facts about ourselves. I have a really long tongue. I think it's over 4 inches.
Sample.
Yo.
Wait, really?
For those who can see.
Chill.
Whoa. Crap.
Oh my God.
That is some
that looks
Gene
painful.
Simmons stuff
That is,
right
yeah, that's
there.
something, yeah.
That's my muscle.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I did.
I know, I think...
I can lick
We're
my
all a
own
little
neck.
bit grossed out and turned on.
I think
Don't
we just
deny it.
gained a bunch of followers. Thanks.
Yeah.
Confused boner.
Whoa, look at that. Yo, look at that. Oh, look at those comments.
Wow, 100K followers. Thanks.
Hey,
You're
guys, I'm Walter. I'm a filmmaker, producer, writer, sometimes actor when they cast me, and Army veteran. So, and welcome to PanGeekery.
Yay! So before we move on, I would like to give a shout out to our sponsors, Jimmy John's and their $10 box lunch. Yay! Thank you for sponsoring us. Thank you to PWC, Filipino Worker Center, for being our location sponsors. And yay! Thank you. We love the space. It's a homey. It's a home away from home.
It is.
What am I talking about? How's everybody's week? How was everybody's week?
Caitlin, you
Why-
seem like
why
you want
is
to start.
everybody always looking at me whenever that
No,
happens?
that was just a very filled, pregnant sigh. So you know,
Pregnant
you have to
sigh.
unpack
It
it. It
was
was like
filled and pregnant.
It was gravid.
I am still trying to make this movie happen.
Yeah.
We are in dire straits because we need a cast reading by Friday. It's Tuesday, and there are several cast members whom I have not yet cast. So if you guys know of any gay men actors of color
Ooh, actually, I do know a couple.
who could pass for college age or high school
right.
age,
That's where it gets hard for me.
right.
Right.
please send them my way.
Like
I
how
could use
old?
them. Like 18 to 22, looking around that age. Or actually, we also need a male person of color who is, it can be straight and they can go up to late 20s. So,
Oh, so me.
but they have to be good actor.
Oh,
Jesus
man.
Christ.
ouch.
I heard.
So I have
Snap
the
to the
good
balls.
actor
I
part.
felt that.
Bam. Just got nut checked.
Damn.
All right, enough about me, guys.
All right.
Snap.
What's that, Earl?
It's a nut check. Just boom. You got to get the whip from the
got
shoulder.
the-
The nunchuck to the balls.
Crazy.
Doesn't even really contact.
Anyway.
It's just the
guys are
just the
crazy.
It's just
tip
a
of
tap.
it. Like, it
Just
the
the
tip.
just the tap.
Tap.
makes you want to throw up.
Oh.
I can't.
So, Walter, you seemed like you had something exciting.
Oh no!
We had a reading last night, didn't we?
Yes, we did have a reading for Mara, our friend Mara, and an awesome play that Kaitlyn was in before.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
And I got to read as one of the characters. I really hope she does it. She makes
She
something
should
out
do it
of it.
again. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a. Oh, do you
I don't
want
want
to?
to. I just don't know
Do
how
you
much
wanna
I'm
say
supposed
it?
to reveal,
Oh,
like,
okay.
because it's her play
I mean,
too.
it's
so.
been put on already several times.
Oh, okay. Where did it go up?
Fountain Theater last time.
Oh, right.
Oh,
Yeah.
the fountain's awesome. Yeah.
So we did that. It was a great time. And then, but most of the weekend, I surprised my mother. I went up to went out of town without telling my mom and surprised
Nice.
her for Mother's Day
Wait,
weekend.
where?
To Las Vegas. So I just
wow.
pretended I was here and drove up real quick and then surprised her.
Ninja.
Yeah.
I don't see Vegas as up though.
Yeah, I
Isn't
know, like,
Vegas,
you mean-
It is.
right
It's like
or right?
west,
Well,
west.
it's north,
Northwest?
northeast.
I guess
It's
it is northeast.
It's northeast of
Okay.
here.
I get
Alright,
east and
yeah.
west mixed up.
So I paid her a visit and she was like, I wish my sister was like, did you record it? I was like,
Come on.
I should've just-
Come on, for the
Say
gram.
Say you're a filmmaker. Come on.
You got to do it for the gram.
Do it for the
gram.
flexing for the gram.
how about you guys?
I'm getting over being sick, so
Nice.
that's fun. I'm finally only phlegmy, which is like
That's sexy.
I know it's really great. It's exacerbated by dairy, so like hella
Right,
ice
it
cream
is.
I've been eating
You're-
lately.
if
Can
you're
I
sick-
tell them
helping.
about your
Right.
your vitamin deficiency?
Oh, tell them about my. Please do.
So
tell
apparently Jen went to a doctor. Same thing. My roommate has the same problem,
With vitamin
and she
D?
has a vitamin D
I
deficiency.
knew it.
Which
Dude.
means she needs some
them. I
D
need
in her.
that D, man, in my life.
Oh, okay.
I
She
was
needs
gonna-
some D.
I was not going to go that
I need that
direction,
D in my life.
but
She's lacking the D.
I'm glad y'all started the joke because I was like, I was really refraining
know.
myself. from
because I
saying
was going to be
anything.
scientific
true,
about
though?
it.
Ain't that the truth? Anyway, so
Because what with vitamin D?
needs D in my life.
So if there's any of you who suggestions for
Look,
how she can
excuse
get
me.
more D
no, stop.
Some
for her
milk.
immune
I could do that
deficiency,
for
White
Sliding into
milk.
DMs.
just
Some cow's milk?
follow
No.
us on IG and comment.
Please no. God, are you pimping me out to the
Well,
internet?
so you can
I'm
also
pimping our IG.
We're pimping your gram. Okay.
you can also
You're
get
gonna get more followers.
vitamin
Jen.
D by getting more sunlight,
I was gonna say.
which
I mean,
is
go for a walk. I mean,
Right, yeah,
that's
yeah.
what I meant. Like, go to the beach, hike.
Of course.
because I also have
What were
a
you
vitamin.
guys thinking?
I'm sorry, Jen, that I opened up this can of worms.
I have
You
a
said I
vitamin D
could.
deficiency as well, and my doctor
really?
literally said you need to get outside, just
Like,
walk outside.
You
So,
play
yeah.
too much
But you
video
really
games.
do.
Too many video
Earl. You
games.
need to get outside your room.
and she was also melanin does not help because like
Oh,
if
taking a pill? Is
no
yours?
because like if you are darker skinned, you absorb more sunlight. The pigment absorbs more sunlight, so you don't.
Right.
Yeah, you need more vitamin D or more sunlight to develop the vitamin D in your body.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
So right. So
So
Or
you need to
just
move
sit in the
somewhere
sun.
sunny.
Yeah. Or
Right?
just get some D.
Yeah.
I'm
Earl.
literally
Or get
in
some
s-
D. Maybe
try
Earl
it.
or
needs
just
the
some
D.
D
Oh,
Just try it.
for dragon.
Me and Walter are
dungeons.
fine. We get
No.
enough D as it is.
Right.
So,
Look.
Yeah.
I bought a bottle from Amazon. It was like $7 for 100 days. So 100 days of
Wow.
D. It was cool
oh my god.
for $7.
Wow.
Far
Guys,
cheaper
we
than other
literally
places.
talked about
Is that
D jokes for like
expensive?
Okay.
Some can only wish that.
So anyway,
Wow.
we are in
You'll never have to
rehearsals
be alone.
for my show, the show I'm in. Supportive White Parents. We are going up at the Fringe Festival, and we just went.
nice.
We just went into tech. So
Nice.
Amazing.
yeah, that's happening. I literally came from rehearsal today, so I'm excited about that. But that is it. And I've been spending too much time on Twitter because of a certain TV show.
Oh.
So
I think I know
That
what show
one.
you're talking about.
what?
Is it the one with? Yeah,
I think I know.
Game of Thrones.
Gramophone?
Gramophones?
Gramophones.
Oh.
Gramophones. I love it.
So we're going to talk about that certain show today, but we're also going to talk about some news from the Geek universe. We have some trailers that just dropped that we think will be of interest to most people. And after that, we're going to get right into Season 8, Episode 5 of Game of Thrones.
I see you struggling to pronounce that correctly.
what is it?
Because you were like, Game of the. You're like so used to saying it.
Game of
Thrones.
Thrones. Game
Yeah.
of Thrones. I know. I screwed myself up.
It's all good.
Of Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones. But yeah, if you're in chat right now, feel free to pop in with questions and answers, comments,
Clements.
whenever you need to, and we will try to get to them before the end of the episode. Okay, so first off, news for this week. So that Watchmen trailer dropped.
Yeah,
Anybody watch that?
man.
I'm so excited.
I think it looks pretty cool. I mean, it's going to be a TV show. So yeah, there's going to be a TV show called The Watchmen. It's going to be on HBO. It looks like it follows the events of the comic book and the movie. We don't know which universe exactly it's in right now, but it is a teaser. So I mean, they're showing us a bunch of cool stuff, and we don't know exactly where it all fits in the story yet. One thing I did recognize is that Jeremy Irons is back, or not back, but he's playing Ozymandias. So that's going to be interesting. What it seems, though, in the trailer is that this is going to be following like I don't know if I want to say the cult of Rorschach that kind of sprang up after, I'm guessing people read his journal that he dropped in the mail to the newspaper, and it just kind of started this upswelling of, rebellion. I don't know. It looks interesting. What do you guys think?
No, it's really cool. I mean, like, Watchmen was the first comic that I ever read.
Right.
So it has a special place in my heart. The movie was interesting. I mean, like, I like the first half. I feel like it suffered from, like, Fight Club syndrome, which was that, like, excellent setup, excellent, like, midpoint, and then it just kind of, like, falls into shambles by its denouement.
That's a lot of films, believe it or not.
Honestly, yeah, that's
and
true.
series.
I
What
guess
are you
so.
talking about?
Or films that I'm excited about. Okay, let's narrow it down. Okay.
I mean, the comic book itself was a pioneer of its type for the way it characterized
This is Alan
Humanized
Moore, right?
superheroes. Yeah,
Alan Moore, yeah.
Okay. That's
the way it characterized superheroes. So, and I think by the time it got to film, they had to kind of change a little bit. But I felt like they still kind of stayed true to the comic book a
The
little
movie
bit.
did?
Yeah, the movie.
right. I didn't
You
watch
know
the
more
entire
than
thing,
most.
Right.
Hmm?
I didn't watch the entire thing, so.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, they had to shorten it a little bit, but I thought it was pretty accurate,
Yeah.
And most of the fans enjoyed it. So it's going to be interesting to see what this new series is going to be about. And of course, they're trying to fill this hole that's going to occur after GOT ends, and they're hoping that this can be
this
the
is
new
the new
series.
GOT.
Well,
They're hoping. I mean,
it
I think
looks
that's the
good.
gamble.
It looks great.
Yeah.
It's HBO, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, so maybe they're
Don
trying
Johnson,
to follow
that's going to
up.
be interesting.
Yeah, with
from
a big franchise.
All-star,
Yeah.
pretty much almost all-star cast, I
Yeah.
would say.
Who else besides Jeremy Irons is in it?
Don
Don
Johnson,
Johnson.
Oh, okay.
and
I forgot somebody off.
there's
Regina
a-
King is in it as well.
Oh.
So, yeah, that's going to be
so I
pretty
mean,
awesome.
those three right there. So
Yeah.
they probably haven't revealed everyone else. Like,
Yeah.
because if I remember the movie correctly, good amount of them died, right? Like Oz is the only one that's alive.
He's
in
alive.
Manhattan.
Manhattan's alive,
But he's-
Night Owl,
sorry
and
for those-
Silver's.
Spoiler
Yeah, Silk Spectre.
Yeah.
well, Rorschach is definitely dead.
Yeah. He's,
Because
oh God.
he
Give
got-
me back
he-
my face.
He got atomized by Dr. Manhattan, so,
Yeah.
but he created many more Rorschachs.
Right, exactly. So I think it'll be cool. It'll be fun. It's still a long ways off, but I guess we can watch that when it comes out, and we'll be talking about that instead of, GOT. So, See You Yesterday, a trailer that's dropping on, a movie that's dropping on Netflix.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kaitlyn?
See You Yesterday is a new film. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the executive producer is Spike Lee. So the director is Stefan Bristol, and it follows basically two Brooklyn teenage prodigies who build makeshift time machines to save one's brother from being wrongfully killed by a police officer. So I think this film is kind of going to be on the tails of the All Black Lives Matter movement,
Right.
commenting on police brutality, but also showing two young black teenagers living in Brooklyn as kind of like not just any regular teenager, but they're two science prodigies, right? So they're in a sense kind of superheroes in a way,
Right.
who are taking the agency to go back in time and right the wrongs of whatever society is oppressing them. And I think that looks pretty cool. It's currently got 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
100%?
100%.
No way.
Yeah.
So it's available on Netflix now?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Wait,
well, we have to
right?
see it then.
I'm gonna go home and check it
I
then.
know
Yeah,
Netflix
yeah.
QEO.
We definitely have to watch it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of
So-
interesting. It's like basically a social commentary meets sci-fi.
Yeah.
Which I think sci-fi is always kind of
usually
like,
social- it's usually
Yeah.
social commentary.
there's always an undercurrent of that,
But this is like an urban modern setting.
which is
Yeah.
awesome.
Right.
We almost,
So-
I think time is ripe for like more like urban fantasy or more
Yeah.
urban sci-fi. So
Yeah.
I'm all aboard.
Yeah. That's great.
Looks
She looks like a
cool.
little Ghostbuster, like in the trailer
Yeah.
when she's like
Yeah.
wearing the little tube.
Yeah, Jen and I just saw the trailer, and Jen was like tearing up.
I was starting to cry.
Yeah,
That trailer was kind of
So
heavy.
good. I
So
can't.
I mean,
Yeah.
like,
It's just too real, is the thing.
And so many people have lost relatives that way. So I think it could be a very impactful story.
They also, I don't know if you remember in the trailer, but they framed it so that the brother's death, like, the news report says like he was shot to death carrying no weapon and he was holding a phone.
Cell phone.
That's
Right.
actually like exactly mimics the incident in Sacramento.
right.
Which
a
was-
couple of others.
Which was a teenage
Yeah.
boy standing
More
in
than one,
his
right.
grandmother's backyard holding a cell phone. He
In
was
his-
shot to
in the
death by
backyard.
police.
Did this
Yard,
just
dude.
happen?
This was fairly recent.
Fairly recent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's hard for
I
me
actually
to tell
lost
time.
track of. Isn't sad?
I know.
I
yeah.
lose track of all the police brutality incidences.
Right.
So, so on that note,
There's a lot to keep up with. But I don't mean to like gloss that over, but I mean, yeah, that's whew. All right. So next we have the Final Fantasy VII remake trailer. That's coming out.
That's what I feel like. That's what I sound like. Oh my God. Okay, so the trailer comes out. They originally said that the Final Fantasy VII remake was going to come out December 31st of this year.
Right.
Like, like a New Year's Eve surprise. And now, like, apparently they said they were laying off half of their, like, team.
Well, what happened is they, I don't know how far they were in development, but they scrapped the entire project
Right.
and switched developers. Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe sometime last year. So
Yeah.
this is a completely new development house.
Right.
so it's not coming out the 31st.
It's not coming
Not-
out the 31st.
So
They
it's
said
coming out-
more news in June. After dropping this trailer, they
Oh,
said
okay.
more
Which
news
is-
coming out in
So-
June.
Which
It's
is when
just another 2
E3.
years
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. We'll see.
I mean,
And I
I would rather they take more time,
time,
and
yeah.
like do
Right.
it justice, because this is one of the greatest masterpieces of game making, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Take a note, DB Vice and
Oh, I knew it. We always
Jesus
bring
Christ.
it back around. I was waiting for that to happen.
Well, we
Game of
have
Thrones.
we have a comment on Twitch that says from Dad's Play Badly. He's like, I guess when he saw the trailer, he says, I
for-
turned
see
into a
yesterday.
kid again.
I know
Oh,
it's
yeah.
so good. I started crying the first time I saw it because Aerith saying like,
Have a flower.
Here, have a flower.
Right.
I mean, like, people don't know the significance of that. It's like other people who have not played the game, they might be like, okay, why? But as I die. But like in Midgard, nothing grows,
Right.
So the fact that she can
Has a
make
flower?
something grow,
You're right.
and she shows like such goodness and purity in a time where it's just corporate greed takes over this entire town is
Shinra.
amazing. That's what makes her story more tragic. But
Wait, why
I
is it tragic?
love-
I'm just
I
kidding.
can't tell you,
I know
No
what
spoilers.
happened.
even though she hasn't played.
No, I saw the scene.
Oh, you saw the scene.
Yeah. It was all over
But-
YouTube.
I love the story so much. I mean, it's such a good, unreliable narrator. It's also like
It is an
commentary on
unreliable
bioterrorism.
narrator, yeah.
Like what?
Right.
It was teaching young kids that like climate change is wrong.
And
from, like,
industrialization.
and industrialization.
Yeah, a
you
lot of
know?
stuff.
And over militarization. There's
Right.
so many things going on in that story.
Well, it's definitely it's a dystopian like future like sci-fi.
It is a
game.
sci-fi. Yeah.
Right.
Sorry, the sarcastic person in me is like, did anyone really learn anything from that then?
Yeah, I did.
Did they though?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, did it really
I don't think
impact
society as
the
a
way it was
whole has
supposed to?
not, but
We
you know,
demilitarize them. No. Are we protecting the environment now? Did we? though?
Walter.
no.
I mean, we are kind of fucked.
We are kind of fun.
Right.
If we took a hint from Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah,
maybe-
if only more people would play Final Fantasy VII,
yeah, but no, like
we wouldn't be in
would've-
this predicament.
We would have had to have had Final Fantasy VII happen during the Industrial Revolution. That's the only way.
It looks good though, like what we have
does look good.
for footage so far.
Yeah, it
I'm
looks
super excited for it.
beautiful. I mean,
Yeah.
it looks like the gameplay is more like Kingdom Hearts versus
Right.
like
Yeah.
turn-based RPGs. May they
Right.
rest
Yeah.
in peace.
It's more an active like battle system.
Yeah, and like the camera angles are super cinematic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you get low. There seem to still be like limit breaks because I saw
Right.
Cloud doing the.
Oh, I mean, that's definitely part of the
Signals.
game.
Some Omni slash action up in here.
Yeah.
definitely.
I just want to see all the mana and like the gods that they.
Oh,
call
the
up.
summons?
The
Dude.
summons. There you
Oh,
go. Yeah.
Knights of the Round and like.
I
all
know,
that
what's that
stuff.
gonna look like?
I know. What's that gonna look like now? I remember as a kid playing it on PS1,
Mm-hmm.
and like I didn't beat it yet, but I was at my friend's house, and he calls me over because he had just beat Sephiroth for the first time,
Yeah.
and he was like, "Dude, watch this," and then he busts Knights of the Round for the first time. And I was like,
what the fuck?
This is like the
that
first
was amazing.
3D game, you know?
Yeah.
First, I mean, like,
Yeah.
3D rendered game.
Yeah, I think I used to use Balthazar a lot and Leviathan.
Yeah, Leviathan.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah.
Oh my
But-
god.
Just real tangent, but if you had to choose between Cloud or Sephiroth,
Did we ask this question already?
Wow.
no.
I thought you were going to say Tifa or Aerith, and I was going to get into it.
Oh well.
But I don't think
Okay.
we have the time.
Yeah.
Dude, Tifa's battle scene in Advent Children is fucking awesome.
Oh, dude, it's amazing. I've
Yeah.
cosplayed both Tifa and Aerith. Yeah.
Oh.
I've always wanted to do a Barrett.
You should. Oh my god.
I think that'd be cool.
Yeah.
yeah, that'd be awesome.
I mean, yeah, I'm ready. So, I mean, we should all go to E3 or something and
We should.
go watch
Someone should
Give
totally
us
pay
press
for our
passes.
tickets.
Yeah, or something.
I agree.
gamer passes. Oh, we can try to apply for press, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm going for
Hey,
sure.
E3,
But
hit us up.
I already got-
Damn you, Earl.
I already got my pass. It's
In
ready.
case people don't know, Earl
What?
is the voice of Jonah in Tomb Raider, which is why he gets a free pass to everything.
I know.
But
I'm
we
a
don't.
dick. I try to get.
You know, you
people
have an
passes.
obligation to hook up your fellow hosts, and you've been failing miserably.
Oh my God.
If E3 gave guest passes like Comic Con did, I would totally hook it up. But
Excuses.
I was
I
going to
know.
say, that's no excuse.
Wait.
one day I'll be cool enough.
If they
I swear
gave
to God.
passes like Comic Con did, so how
Right.
come you haven't given me a Comic Con?
Oh my God.
People have claimed it already. People swoop that up
Damn
like
it.
this, man. Everybody
Priorities.
wants to get into Comic Con. But yeah, Final Fantasy VII E3. I'm waiting for news. It's gonna be badass. Some
Yeah.
one-winged angel up in here. I'm ready
Oh my God.
I will Greco-Roman wrestling someone for
for
Comic-Con.
Comic-Con
For a
pass.
Comic-Con pass.
Don't you have one? I feel like you.
Roman
I
wrestling.
feel like you
Yeah.
have one
He
already.
went there.
Why do I feel like a
Oil
lot
up.
of Earth's
Oil up, yeah. We're gonna do it traditional, man.
Oh my God.
Traditional,
A lot of
no
Greek
clothes.
wrestling.
pieces are going to
Yeah.
be smashed in that battle for some reason.
This is gonna be the first
Like
move
just
right here. This one.
pottery.
That movement really scared me.
Okay, so
So, got that
Disney.
shit out.
Next on our item list, Disney revealed Star Wars MCU and Avatar slate. Walter,
Star what?
Star Wars.
Star Wars. Yeah, so Disney recently revealed all the movies that's coming out. It's a long list. I don't even want to get into like.
But what's on that
all of them.
list, Walter?
But some of the big ones, because they did say that Rise of Skywalker was going to be
Right.
like they're gonna go on a hiatus. Like,
3 years after
well, they didn't say, but then all of a sudden in that list they said there's one coming out in
2022. Right.
So, which is, yeah, they
Well,
did.
that's 3 years from now.
Yeah, but I guess when people interpreted it as, oh, we're gonna lay off on Star Wars.
That means they're going to go
Like
right back into
5 years.
pre-production.
Because they're going to go right back into people.
Yeah.
People were thinking like, oh, 5 years, but that means they're already like, if
They're
it's gonna
already
come
planning
out
for
in
it, yeah.
3 years, it means they
Right.
started already.
Right,
So,
exactly.
like,
Yeah,
what are you
basically.
talking about?
There's no break.
Yeah, there's no break.
Well, you know who was attached to the next sequel? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Rodney.
It actually came out today.
Today?
that
Oh, today.
So
TNT
who-
Benioff and Weiss are attached to it.
Oh my God.
Oh, that's right. They're gonna
What?
they're writing
feel,
that, right?
Caitlin?
Yeah,
I feel like
so
a jolt of
the
electricity just went on my
2022 one
anus.
is D&D.
Is
Right.
is there a trilogy?
Well, they didn't say if it was a trilogy, but for sure it's there. That movie, the 2022, is
Is theirs? Yeah, they're attached to it.
Can I just
Which
say something really quick?
also might play into our discussion later.
Okay,
Right.
maybe
Is
I'll
that-
say it later.
They
We'll save it. There's a lot.
We'll save
Basically-
it. I'll say it
Sure.
later. Yeah.
but
Right.
basically
But remind
they,
me about D&D.
right. They have other things they want to do, and
Yeah.
this apparently
Right.
is
This
it.
apparently was one of them.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, if this, well, we'll talk about it later. I have thoughts all of a sudden.
Yeah, and I mean, there's quite a few on this list, and like reference. I'm looking at the Verge's
Right.
article on it, and quite a few of it, like Toy Story, and they're gonna do Avatar apparently.
Like 2 and 3,
Yeah,
Wasn't
I
that
know.
supposed to come out a while ago?
they're still working
Avatar
on it.
came out
correct,
10
currently.
years ago.
They just they built a whole new like mocap and stage in like Marina Del Rey and all that. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff
How do you
coming.
know this?
I don't even.
I don't know.
Because
how I know this.
he's Jonah. Oh, are you
How
in this?
do you know
What?
such
I just
things?
heard.
Oh no!
along-
Sorry.
Wait, are you
Along
saying
the
you're
paper.
going to be in the
No,
Avatar?
no, I'm not
Is
saying
there an
anything.
NDA? We don't want
Hold
to
on,
put
hold
out,
on.
bust them out
Oh
on any
my
NDA.
God.
I'm neither confirming
You
nor
heard
denying
it
any
here,
of this.
folks.
Oh.
I didn't know how I seeded this, but
Oh my god.
Hashtags, like, let's fill them up.
Hashtags Earl secrets.
what the heck? There's no secrets.
Sorry, I'll try not to use
God.
my.
There's no secret that we don't know.
I'll try not to use my Professor X powers. On
I
it.
know.
Oh my
Cerebro.
god. Okay.
Well-
Okay. Well.
Moving on from that, let's go on to our main topic. Our main topic. What was that?
I just heard a scream from outside our building. It was really
know.
scary.
People are excited, okay? Like,
People are
just
excited
let-
about our main
give them-
topic.
We have fans outside, like in Good
Oh,
Morning
we're gonna
America.
make you guys.
In the
Yeah.
streets of downtown.
Is that the one who's like waving that poster right now? It says Walter is not the best. Okay.
Oh, dang.
Oh,
Oh my god.
So-
How much did you have to pay
Wait,
him?
how did you get out there? How are you in two places at the same
My
time?
X-Men powers.
Wow.
Multiple man.
Multiple X-Men powers.
Wait a minute, that's my mom. What?
What? I don't know what's happening.
Sorry,
Right
continue.
know.
now. No.
Bad improv is happening.
Oh God.
Ouch, dang. I'm getting tag teamed here.
This is like this right here. This is happening like a lot today. That nut tapping.
You guys, every time you do that, I get scared. Like
Why?
I don't know how I feel about it.
Yes.
You guys are like spasming.
Ow.
No, don't say that.
Okay, so I think we're kind of scared of this. I'm kind of scared of like what's going to happen in the next 40 minutes. So,
too.
Game, God damn it. Game of
Gramophone.
Gramophones. Game of Thrones, episode 5, season 8, entitled "The Bells." Before we start, I just want to say one thing. Clogging Ball, get hurt. That's it. That's all I have. That's all I have. So, if everybody's seen this already, it's an interesting episode. What happens is we start off with Varys approaching Jon about taking over the Iron Throne. Jon, of course, he turns that down. Tyrion's watching though, and he informs Dany, who then Tyrion implores her not to burn King's Landing, which he gets kind of a wishy-washy answer on. But she does inform him that Jaime is being held captive in the camp. So he goes to his brother Jaime, and he convinces Jaime to try to make Cersei surrender before the attack comes, because he says it's going to be bad. It's going to be bad. He lets go. He helps his brother escape, and then we move on to the gates of King's Landing, where we have everybody set up. Jon Snow is there. The armies of the North, Dothraki, the survivors of the Long Night, and they're up against the Golden Company, and then
I think I blinked and missed them.
yeah.
What
I
do you-
think
who were
it's
they?
pretty quick.
Helmets?
They were in
The
front of
helmets that
gate.
are
They're-
open
yeah.
All the guys who
strategically
those guys.
away from your
Yeah.
face so
Gotcha,
that your hair
okay.
doesn't get in your eyes.
And then
Right,
Commander,
right.
what's his name? Strickland, which is a weird name.
Oh,
for a
that
Golden
guy.
Company. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
He looks like a
Strickland.
Sith Lord.
Yeah, I know.
Looks like, you know.
He's a gray Jedi. I don't
Yeah.
know. But we sit there, and Drogon is
nowhere to see.
is nowhere to be seen. We move over to Euron. He's like on his ship, being an idiot, and he looks up at the sky, and then we get like the Drogon show for like 5 minutes, and he just decimates all the scorpions everywhere. The rest of the episode is, what do we get? We get
Fire and
Slaughter.
blood.
It's just
we get fire and blood.
Fire and blood.
Daenerys burns all of King's Landing,
Including the civilians.
including civilians. Cersei tries to escape. Clegane Bowl happens. Jaime tries to get to her. He is intercepted by Euron. They fight to the death. Weird. And then he runs into Cersei, tries to help her escape via the route that Tyrion told them about. They don't make it out because King's Landing is collapsing all around them, and they die.
May I add
Yes.
one point?
Yes, you can.
It is called the Bells because Tyrion implores Dany.
Oh, yes, that's it. It's a good
Tyrion
point.
implores Dany to, once they ring the bells, to show that the city has surrendered, for her to call off her arms.
Right.
And therefore show that she is one over the city and can keep the populace of the people safe while she takes over the town. However, I knew from the beginning, I called it.
Right.
They ring the bells, and she does not cease fire.
She
And
does not at all.
the Unsullied proceed to fight, and John kind of falls back.
Right. He tries, and then
Everyone is stunned by
Right.
her decision, basically.
but then mob mentality takes over. Everybody pushes forward and starts the rape and pillage of King's Landing. Woo!
There's not a very good communication system built in for John and his troops.
No.
Yeah.
It's literally just him screaming,
Yeah.
hoping someone will hear him.
Yeah.
Fall back.
They should have like flags and
That's
like
what's got like flags or
Well, but
something.
even with those flags, they're all in the streets. You
Right.
can't see the flags.
Yeah.
Like
But
the
then-
other guys in the other streets.
So
It's just-
what was the system? A whistle? I don't know.
a horn battle.
At
I don't
that-
know what it is.
no, at
the
that
ancient
point-
Romans had whistles. I
At that
think.
point, there's
Nothing.
you can do. It's just like a wave.
That shit was crazy.
It was really chaotic.
That was chaotic. Yeah.
Anyway,
so was the story.
so yeah.
Sorry.
What story? That was not the story.
Previously, before the Clegane Bowl, Arya headed up to kill Cersei, but was convinced to turn away by the Hound. So she then proceeded to wander around the city as Drogon burned everything around her. She saw a whole bunch of civilians die, and at the end, she saw a white horse appear out of nowhere. Death on a white horse. What?
Or a denouement. Who
Yeah.
knows?
Or a reference to the first episode
Or a
where
reference to the
Daenerys
first
gets a
episode.
white horse for her
Yeah.
gift.
Right.
Oh.
So that's where we end the episode, and and the hearts and minds of many Game of Thrones fans
We're
just-
divided
yeah,
since.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God, people are still talking about this.
I
Yeah,
don't think we're divided
this day.
at this point.
Well, fear
People
it
are
is.
coming together.
Yeah.
People are coming together.
I've
to the-
actually heard a lot of people who love
yeah,
this
a lot of
episode,
people. Yeah,
love this episode, think that it's fine. And
This is the
okay,
lowest rated episode in its entire history.
well, before we go on, I do want to say that let's start with a few highs. The
looking on the bright side.
right. The production value of this episode was fucking
Oh
amazing.
yeah, it's
of
the
yeah.
course,
best
of
it's ever
course.
been.
Yeah,
Right.
It's
The
always
best
good.
cinematographers in the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
It's
Best
always.
directors in the
Beautifully shot. Like several frames in this episode were like paintings. It was like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Even there was one where that one where all the common folk are like huddled in the corner, and Arya runs into it, and somebody screen capped that, and I was like, that looks like a Renaissance painting. It's
Yeah.
Oh,
crazy.
I gotta look at it again.
Yeah, it's cool. There's a lot of cool shit. The music is
Yeah.
it's
Of course,
freaking
fantastic.
gorgeous.
I love how when Jamie and Cersei die,
Right.
the theme that's playing is they mash the light of
Yes,
the seven
with Reigns of Castamere. right?
not Reigns of is it Reigns of Castamere?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or a Lannister always pays his debts. It's one of those two. It's like the.
Is there a different track called? Okay.
Yeah.
Reigns of
It-
Castamere
it-
is already there. Oh, is that
No,
different?
it's not Reigns of Castamere.
Okay.
It's a Lannister always pays his debts mixed
And
with the
then,
Light of the
yeah, the
Seven.
Light of the Seven.
That was brilliant.
The Light of the Seven was a
Yeah,
theme
but
from
I don't know.
You didn't like it? You
I
didn't
mean,
like the
I
music?
liked it, but I just felt like it was emotional manipulation because like
Well,
we're
duh,
like,
this whole
sentimental,
Right,
whole-
right. This
this
entire
whole
thing
episode
was-
is
sentimental,
Yeah.
like the greatest villain.
But I
versus
liked
the
how they
person.
mixed them together. That was
Right.
cool.
I think
That was-
musically was awesome.
Musically was good.
Musically, it's always
musically
awesome.
the music aspect of the show has not slacked off.
Oh,
it's
never.
just
Yeah,
gotten
yeah.
better.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so you could say that much.
When Light of the Seven dropped at the end of
Season 6?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
everyone was like, what?
and you just see that empty frame, and then Tommen just like oh, it's so
And then the organ.
good. Yeah. No.
So good.
It's very great.
Yeah.
Very good.
I mean, to me, this episode is like basic. It should have been titled "How Daenerys Ended Up on Arya's Hit List."
Well, yeah.
That would have been too long and spoilery.
Yeah. But it's called The Bells. Now, wasn't there a character? I don't know. I think it was Varys or something.
Right.
Someone says sometime in the show, "I've never known the bells to mean surrender." Is that not
Really?
literally a line in the show? Someone pointed it out. They're
That's
like,
Oh,
very
I don't
nice.
know.
They were like, "What the fuck?" Yeah.
I may have
when
missed
you
that.
when you ring the bells, that doesn't mean you surrender. That means go to war or a celebration.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I don't know. They might have forgotten that line was in there.
Maybe they
Or was
forget a lot of
Tyrion
things
trying
nowadays.
something else?
Right. It could be Tyrion like.
What's interesting is we
Send a
never see
message, I don't know.
Cersei say "ring the bells."
No,
Right.
I
we
think
don't.
it's assumed that
Yeah.
she gives the order to ring the bells, right?
Right.
But
Yeah.
even if she did, like, she wouldn't. She just.
I
doesn't
assumed it was just like the commoners ring no fucking bells, and then
Yeah.
like somebody just broke in there and started.
The
ringing.
weird.
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
yeah, someone
Well,
just
yeah,
started
someone
reading
had
it.
to-
Hoping that
Someone
they
broke
would
it in.
Right.
They were probably
Yeah.
waiting for Cersei to give the command.
But I think at
but
that point,
I don't
no,
think she
and
gave
then-
it, actually.
And then
Yeah.
their no, she
Yeah.
didn't.
Yeah.
And it's just her troops because they're already giving up. They're
Yeah.
like
Right.
F this, so
Yeah.
they rung the bell themselves. It's just basically open defiance of their queen.
That was
That could have been such an epic moment.
it. Could have been.
So much could
Well,
have been
to
so
me,
epic.
what was
yeah.
weird was that Cersei was so far gone that that's the part that to me felt rushed.
She held no
Or,
recognition of like what
she
situation
was
she in.
completely just
Oblivious.
oblivious and absent.
Right.
Like she's already
She's
gone
like,
off
yeah,
the cliff.
She's already off the hand.
Yeah,
she's off the rails.
she's like doesn't recognize her own defeat, her own like
Yeah.
how messed up. To me, that was uncharacteristic of Cersei.
Like not to have something up her sleeve by the
Yeah,
very
and
end.
just to be in complete denial of her. You know,
if
her
Qyburn hadn't
failure.
come in there, she would have stayed in the Red Keep until
Yeah, and
she
I-
died. Yeah,
And again, I think this is part of the whole rushing it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
There's a lot of stuff that is, are symptoms or byproducts of the rushing.
But how should we do this? Are we gonna say the stuff
Can
we
we-
liked first,
yeah,
or
can
like what are we gonna do?
Let's talk. Do we have any more highs, and then we'll go right.
Oh,
into
so
the-
we're doing the highs.
Let's do some highs. Let's do
Who
some
wants
highs.
to go first?
Clegane Bowl.
Okay.
That's mine. That's all. Last
Wait, before
episode.
you get to Cleganeville, can I
Right.
just point out this funny bit?
Yes, you can.
I'm sure someone made a meme of it.
Yeah.
Where the Hound, like Qyburn's already dead, everyone's dead, and the Hound could totally kill Cersei.
Yeah.
And then
She just
like,
Yeah.
she
I
tiptoes.
left something
She's
in my
like,
car.
Don't look
know.
at me! Don't look at me! Don't look at me! Don't.
She's
She
like-
just walks right by, and then the
doesn't-
Hound doesn't even look at.
Yeah.
No, I think
like,
he,
don't mind
I think
me.
he addresses her like as she
He
walks
just,
by.
like-
He's like,
he
But
does
that's
like
it.
a little
"Yeah, Your
nod.
Highness," or something. He
Yeah,
said
yeah.
something if I remember correctly.
Your Grace.
Just lets her
That
walk.
sounds like
Yeah.
something the Hound would say. Your
That
Grace.
was funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
High for me. One of my highs would be the seeing Qyburn get
Dude, that was
smashed
awesome.
by and I was
Just
like,
like boom.
yes.
Like yeah,
But he
bitch.
just, I feel like it was so easy too. He
Well,
just
he's
like
that
picked him up
strong.
and then went like that. Yeah.
I mean, if he can pick up, the Hound just
Yeah.
like this,
Yeah, yeah.
that's
Hound's-
like a lot of
yeah.
strength.
But given that he did that to Qyburn, it shows that the Mountain went easy on the Hound just to play with him a little longer. I feel
I
like
think so.
No,
I think so.
Qyburn is old and lacking
So-
vitamin
He's probably
D.
like he's
back to
the Hound has to have
How
like
much sunlight nowadays
Jesus.
at King's Landing?
look.
the Hound has to have like 150 pounds on Qyburn. At
Yeah,
least.
and he's a
course.
warrior.
Yeah.
Qyburn's
He's a
just
warrior. He's tall as shit.
frail
Yeah.
old man.
Right.
All right.
Lacking vitamin D.
But
You know what that'll do to you.
Yeah. Oh my
Sorry.
God.
Sorry. I'm 12, you guys.
Look.
Uh,
also, we're talking about Game of Thrones.
so you
it's
liked
just-
Clegane Bowl. Is
Yeah.
there any particular facet of Clegane Bowl that just...
I kind of liked
Rock your
a
socks.
little bit of everything. I love the realization in Sandor's eyes when he realizes that
you can't kill him?
he can't kill this guy.
No.
I mean, but he did die, we assume. At the
We
end.
assume.
he
Yeah,
got
I mean,
burned,
he
but
burned,
he's
but-
essentially like a White Walker, but in summer
He's
fashion.
Frankenstein.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
But what
Frankenstein.
pisses me off was like, hello, just chop his head off.
Right.
He tried. He was like trying to saw
He,
at
like-
his neck. He had a knife and he was like trying to like pierce him in the neck and like do that, but it wasn't
the knife
successful.
goes through
I
him.
think she's talking about when he still had his armor.
Okay. We
I
might
remember
need
his
to
armor
rewatch
fell off.
this.
We all screamed.
Oh, did you? Like I think he was stabbing him, but his armor was on. Like the only
Yeah.
time he
Right,
like
he was
came
stabbing
across
him,
the
right.
neck
He
was
couldn't
like
do
when he
it,
stabbed him
yeah.
in the eye.
Oh, gotcha.
And it was just which is another weird thing. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
so clearly you're not using your brain at all. Your brain
Totally
doesn't
looks like-
control anything.
Right.
Darth
Yeah.
Vader underneath that helmet, man.
But it's like, just chop his head off. Like, you fought White Walkers. You fought,
But that's not dramatic, Walter.
Yeah,
we need
true.
to struggle.
Yeah. I mean, how? Yeah. I don't know if I would have
Anyway.
wanted to see. I might have still enjoyed that, but
yeah.
Do you think the death by fire was a fitting end, or?
Are we getting into it? Like,
I'm
I'm
sorry,
we're talking about
we're still
Clegane
doing
Bowl. Oh, sorry.
positives.
I don't know. Okay, all
Okay,
right.
sorry,
so
sorry,
we'll skip that.
oh,
Never
are we
mind,
gonna?
sorry.
Was that something
I
you
was
wanted to
just
talk
curious
about?
about the Clegane Bowl because I noticed in the After the Thrones discussion,
Right.
they said it's fitting that he dies by fire because the
Oh.
Hound.
I
has
guess
always
that's
been
kind of a thin thread to me. But
I know some people weren't feeling it. I was like, I kind of see it.
no,
I feel like
I
it works.
didn't think there was anything wrong with it.
Yeah, I feel like it
And
works.
it's the only way to kill your brother, apparently.
Right.
Yeah, apparently.
In my head,
yeah.
Cast the ring into Mount Doom.
I know.
Yeah.
Isildur, cast the ring to the fire.
You'll never get tired of that, will
I know.
you?
Never.
I will never get tired of it. You have no idea how many times I've watched Lord of the Rings.
I
I've
think I have an
seen
idea.
so
Okay,
many
okay.
times.
I own the extended editions.
That's
It's
great.
They're way too long.
oh, really? I love
so
them so
long.
much.
Jan, your positives?
Yeah, your positives.
Look, I want to skip forward my positive. Well, I'll say one really quickly that leads into everything else I want to say. I liked the shots of all the common people of King's Landing.
Yeah.
For all the times that we followed, the regents and the lords and ladies, the lords and
Right.
ladies
Lords and
Lords and
ladies.
of the world. It was nice to see the common folk and to kind of. There was like this one featured extra, right? This mother and her child
Right.
that were like, we
Her
built
name's
up
Nora.
some kind of Nora.
They
Yeah.
gave her a name.
That's
yeah,
right.
because I had the closed captions on.
Oh,
And I was
okay,
like,
okay.
Nora, you guys, go
Nora,
for Nora.
Nora.
Her name's Nora, yeah.
that Arya tries to save,
Yeah.
and the fact that you follow essentially the refugees at this point of King's Landing makes you feel the impact of what is happening more. So I appreciate that.
Right.
How I feel about the impact remains to be said.
And I mean, it's an interesting thing because we almost never talk about the common folk.
Right.
In one Game of Thrones
Yeah.
is on the table.
I just want to say displaced citizens.
Displaced refugees. Right.
I'm just kidding.
Social commentary.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool cinematography and just directing wise, just because it was very Saving Private Ryan.
Right.
You're in the grounds with them.
Mm-hmm.
I just wonder, it's like, well, technically, that was your fault, Arya, because they probably were safe in that little corner.
Oh yeah, right.
When she pulled them out,
I mean,
and
it might have
Dothraki showed up
collapsed.
behind them.
Yeah.
I know the choices you make, I guess.
Dothraki was right there.
Maybe that was another lesson. You can always try, but if there's a dragon flying over you and burning shit,
You'll
you're
never
fucked
know.
anyway.
Yeah.
So you might as well
Unless
just
you're
hang
Arya.
out there.
Right.
Well, the buildings are collapsing.
Right.
Yeah.
And
That's
they're all
how
made of stone.
Cersei dies. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, all of the buildings around that already collapsed. It was just that piece that they were
Right.
hiding in. So clearly, the arches in that was
The most
structurally safe.
reinforced. Right.
All right.
Yeah.
They should have just stayed there.
Oh
Sorry,
my God.
Any other positives?
I can't even think of any. I've been racking my brain.
you can't think of any positive.
You guys already said it looked good.
Yeah,
Gainful.
The cool stuff. We said
Dany
the
was
cool
pretty.
What about the scene between Jaime and Tyrion?
Stuff. Oh, I actually like that.
You know what?
Right. Yeah, I did like that.
This
This is
was
gonna go into my
sweet.
condo. okay, so
okay.
yeah.
Right.
We have a lot to unpack. Can we
Yeah.
just get into
Yeah.
it?
Okay,
Because I feel
fine.
like we're
Let's
just like
unleash the
dragging and
hounds.
spending time on this.
Yes. So.
All right. So should we go through it chronologically? Or?
Can we talk about
Go?
what just happened?
That was the start of the derby, man.
Can we talk about the series as
I
a
know,
whole
sorry.
though?
As a
Like,
whole.
can we talk about the series as a whole real quick before
Sure,
we
sure.
go into?
Yeah, let's
So-
go macro
okay.
You know,
Yes,
first.
let's talk
Like,
about the
I
whole
will say
Go
that like the
macro.
quality of production making has been the best it's ever been.
Right.
But writing and show running is the worst it's ever been.
Yeah, it's like was it
An
an
inverse-
inverse correlation? Yeah.
Right. And like, I mean, for me, it boils down to suspension of disbelief and character continuity, right? Like, whenever you have like good world building, you have rules that you establish and then you follow them. Like, if the scorpions are that powerful and like one can, or three in Rhaegal's case,
Right.
can shoot him out
In
of
a
the
row
sky
with no practice.
no,
from
it's-
one ship.
Yeah.
How is it that Dany flies over with one dragon and 50 ships full of scorpions can't hit her?
Because she's smart
Speed.
now.
Speed.
She practiced. She
You know,
knows
like,
Speed
there
and
was a-
agility.
So she did what she should have done
the first time.
at
around.
Dragonstone.
I guess.
Yeah. That's
You
what
know,
she
like a
should've done.
physicist actually like calculated like since like
The
ballistas
amount of
move
force, right?
in like parabolic fashions, you know.
Right.
So like since the ballista was cast straight, that means that it didn't even have time to make it over the curve of the parabola, which
Right.
means that the
It's like
velocity
a
at
missile.
which the
Like
missile
super
rocket at
fast,
which the ballista
yeah.
was traveling,
Hypersonic speed.
that
Hypersonic,
ballista
yeah.
would have landed in space
Right.
if it did not stop in that dragon.
No. Well, yeah, that. But they were saying if it was launched in a parabola, it would have gone into space. Yeah,
Yes.
the hypersonic speed. Of
That's
that.
what I mean.
Hypersonic speed. And
I mean,
we,
it looked cool,
medieval
y'all.
science,
It
you
looked
guys.
cool.
I
looks
didn't
cool.
hear Sonic Boom anywhere.
Yeah.
So
But more importantly, I mean, like as an actor too, it's like
Right.
Yeah.
character work. When you set up something and then you just don't follow through by making characters like do what is quintessentially like opposite of what you set up for them to be, that's not satisfying. You know, like we've watched Game of Thrones because like characters led themselves to their own demise by making mistakes, by
There's
like
Right.
consequences.
you know, by acting according to what they thought was wise, but then getting punished for it by people who were craftier than they were.
Right, right.
Whereas
Absolutely.
over here, it's been constructed top down. You know, like I read this really good thread. Can I just read it real quick? Not the whole thing.
Yeah.
Not
I
the
bet
whole
you
thing.
have read it though. You've been posting a lot on Facebook.
Oh, I definitely have.
Yeah.
But
So have I.
anyway, I'll just summarize it. But like Game of Thrones in the latter half of the seasons feels like a different show because it's more a series of plot points that need to be fulfilled rather than a series of character-driven, narrative
Like motivation.
exploration.
Right.
Yeah.
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 So it feels totally different, and like even the actors are disappointed. Like there's a
that
video,
3 minutes.
3
yeah,
minutes.
yeah.
Did you see
Video.
this?
Uh-uh.
Oh, someone
Of how the
compiled
actors-
3 full minutes of the actors like basically being
Being
disappointed, but
disappointed.
they're trying to hide it.
right.
Oh wow.
Like the
John's?
best. John's was
John's
was
is
best.
great.
So good.
There's
Like,
a girl who goes,
one-on-one interview.
yeah, one-on-one interview. She goes, if you could describe the finale of Game of Thrones in one word, what would it be? And
he
she's
kinda-
really excited. Like
He
what
kind
would-
of
and he
thinks for a
goes,
second.
disappointing. And then it's like awkward for a second, and,
And
she's
her
like,
face
she's like
is
disappointing.
Yeah, yeah.
And he
goes
goes,
like, oh,
or
I mean, epic,
epic,
too.
you know, one of those,
one of those,
two.
one
He
of
goes,
those,
one of
one
those
of
two,
those.
whatever you want.
Yeah, dude.
Like and then Gendry's one. He didn't even. He was like,
He
He didn't even
says
try to hide
fuck
it. Yeah.
because like he was in a it was the interview with
with
Raleigh.
Grey Worm.
Yeah,
he was
with
with interviewed with Grey Worm.
Torganudo,
Yeah.
and he was just like he went straight at it, and Grey Worm was just like, man, you are brave.
Yeah, he was like, he's like, I need to stop
Yeah,
talking
dude.
now.
Yeah.
He was like, oh yeah,
Oh,
so
'cause at
character
this point
development,
they're all-
throw that out the window.
Yeah.
Right.
And then there's one where Tyrion is like
Yeah.
on set and he's giving an interview, and it's very obvious that in
That
his
he-
head he's like,
he's
this
trying
He's
is
got
so
talking
stupid.
points. You're
Yeah.
right.
No, he was
He's what
basically
he's
like,
yeah.
David Benioff and Dan Weiss are some of the best writers on TV, and this is proving to be the best season yet. And I'm just really admiring of the work that they do.
No, he says
And, like-
Tyrion is the smartest man in the world.
Yeah,
You know, if there's like an army of the undead going after you and you're being stuck in the crypts, don't really know
Oh,
what that's
yeah,
about.
that part is great.
Like,
apparently
It's like-
Tyrion is
apparently
smart.
Tyrion is
Smartest man in the
smart,
world.
and then he
That's
goes like
smart.
that, and they're all trying to hide it,
Right.
Right.
Because they could get in huge trouble. if they
Absolutely.
say
They're
anything bad about
contractually obligated.
They're obligated to say good things about it.
Right.
But there's
or
just
like,
this like
Amelia
Ian
Clark.
Glenn.
When
Oh
they're
yeah,
like,
that's true.
So, did you guys like the ending of Game of Thrones? And Miss Sunday
can't
is immediately
even-
like, yes.
Yes,
And
yeah.
then
She wasn't
Daenerys
there.
is like, she literally does this. She goes, best season ever.
Oh, dude, it's damning as fuck.
So
It really is.
funny.
Yeah, dude.
She's trying so hard.
It's so
like,
great.
It's
Even
like-
Varys,
Right.
the guy who plays
Conleth
Varys.
Hill, yeah.
Conleth Hill
There's an
did,
interview. He said he was like heartbroken
Right.
about the way they killed off his character.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Like it was just dumb.
It's
it was
crazy.
dumb.
That-
I mean,
okay, so-
he made a stupid decision.
Can we go into the cons now?
Okay,
Or-
so-
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Oh, so we're doing it.
Okay, well, name. So I guess like name scenes that you found took issue with or are bumping up against.
Well, gosh,
That's not
who's-
to read
who's
into
gonna-
it. I mean, but something that you
I'll start.
remark on.
Yeah,
Okay, so beginning of the episode, Varys' death.
Right.
My friends and I were watching, and in the beginning we're like into it,
Mm-hmm.
and then all of a sudden he gets caught.
why
And
would he
then-
play his gambit so hard?
This is why we were screaming at the
Right.
TV. I was like, hold on, you're telling me
Yeah.
that Varys, who's always
The
20
master of
steps,
fucking whispers.
Yeah.
master of whispers, who's
Master
always,
of
The spider.
whispers.
the
Sorry.
spider is 20 steps ahead of
know,
everyone,
man.
is stupid enough to get caught writing a letter, which, by the way, looks like some 6th grade handwriting. Like, it didn't even look...
journal.
Yeah.
Today
Yeah.
I will betray the queen and do some treason.
Yeah, and,
But
and then him trying to, like, hide it, he, like, puts it in a jar or something.
No, he burned it.
He
Oh,
burns
he burns
it,
it? Yeah,
yeah,
there's
and
like a
then
thing, and he just burns
snuffed it.
As if
Yeah.
he'd be stupid enough to get caught. Number 2, why didn't he just wait till someone was on the throne first
Right.
before sending out letters? Like, why did you have to do it there?
Well, no, I think what got him caught to begin with
was approaching John.
was approaching John, but also that conversation with Tyrion in the throne room.
Right.
What do you mean? The
For the last episode.
'Cause
like,
he
was
already
already
told
telling
Tyrion that he
Tyrion
was
basically that,
revolting.
I'm thinking about
I'm
this.
thinking about betraying her.
And then he
I
sees
think-
him talking
I
to
think
Jon.
should be
so you
the
think
person.
it's not the fact that he wrote the letters? It's the
Nah.
fact that he talked.
He was
to
already
Tyrion?
Talked to
busted
Tyrion.
before that.
Yeah.
He was already busted before.
Okay, in
the
that
letters.
case, all right. And see, all right, so if that's the case,
Yeah.
we still have a problem with Tyrion's character.
Right.
Because this would work in the old Game of Thrones because Tyrion wouldn't be stupidly defending Daenerys. Otherwise, in this new Game of Thrones, Varys would sense that Tyrion wouldn't be on his side and would not disclose that information.
Right.
Because that's
Well,
a death.
to
Amen
me,
to that,
yeah, that's my
honestly.
problem was that, like, Varys just all of a sudden gave zero fucks.
Yeah.
Excuse my
It's
French.
no, he's sloppy.
He got. I know he did. He got
this thing.
sloppy.
He got real sloppy.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, you're just blatantly just, hey, Jon, wanna be the king?
That's
I
what
know, who
mean.
does
I'm like,
that?
who does that?
Like,
No one
that's,
does
that's,
that
that's
in
so
our politics.
That's
Yeah.
so
No.
uncharacteristic of
It's
Varys.
not Varys.
It is-
Yeah,
yeah, it's absolutely
That's like a
uncharacteristic.
fool's
Uncharacteristic.
thing. Yeah.
And then even like with his little bird, you know, like he's like, oh, I feel
Oh,
like
yeah, what
they're
was that
watching
about?
me. You know, they're
Yeah.
watching us, and it's like,
That's
okay,
right.
cool. They know you're up to something.
Well,
but, like,
I mean, you brought up Tyrion and Kaitlyn, and I'm wondering, what do you think? What is Tyrion's hookup with?
Hang up.
Hang up.
Tyrion's
Hook
hook
up.
up.
Well,
Oh my gosh!
he
What
hasn't,
is-
hooked,
Tinder
he hasn't
right
hooked up
now?
in a while.
Yes,
Yeah.
he said so last episode. What
I
is
think the last
Tyrion's
hookup
hang
was
up
Shay. He doesn't go for girls
Yeah,
anymore.
yeah, I know.
He couldn't. Yeah,
after he choked her out?
choked her out.
That's a mild way of putting it.
Yeah.
Right. I know.
She's into it.
Oh God. What do you think is Tyrion's hang up with Dany? Why is he so loyal?
That's what I was thinking. I mean,
because they need him to be for that
that's
Right.
the
plot.
thing. That's the
There's no
actually
reason
the
for him to be
most
loyal.
unbelievable part of the
Yeah.
story for me
Right.
Yeah.
is Tyrion's utter devotion to Daenerys Targaryen.
Yeah.
Even though prior to this, he was not known to be loyal to
anyone.
So what is it? I mean, this gets down to the heart of Daenerys' character too. Like, what
Right.
makes her different from every other ruler? Like, why does Tyrion show her devotion? It must be, I'm assuming, something to do about her goodness or her like visionary view
But
of the
that's
world.
not showing through anymore.
But it's not showing through
Tyrion
anymore.
should know
so
that.
why is he
Yeah.
the idiot that keeps thinking that that's the case? Why does
Yeah.
Jon think that's the case too? You know,
Well, here's
Well, I mean, you know, things people do for the pussy. But, like,
Yeah,
I think
but-
that's
Well,
what
Jon has always been known to like throw like loyalty by the wayside whenever he's doing something right.
yeah, but
For sure.
John's.
Yeah, like we do with the Egret.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But to be fair, it's only until now that Jon sees something that might actually be like worth him breaking his bond. But since he gave his oath to her, he's very tied to that. In my opinion,
You
Like,
think it's more the fact
He
that he
swore
made an
himself.
oath as opposed to him being in love with her?
yeah.
he
You think
swore
so?
himself
I
to
think
the
honor.
next
I
man.
think
no,
honor
man.
is more valuable to Jon.
Yeah.
Well, to Jon.
but
But what about Tyrion?
Yeah.
As for Tyrion, I mean, now I'm not sure. Like, I think he's just in too deep. But at the second time, like, and or Tyrion just thinks that he is with the winner, but by being in the court of the potential winner,
Right.
he could possibly save his family. Because if you think about it, he's been there trying to position this
Trying to save his
side-
family,
save
right?
Cersei and Jaime one way or another, because he knew that she was going to defeat them either way. So I think that maybe there's a possibility that Tyrion might have like, well, if I'm here with this camp, she'll win King's Landing, but at least I can hopefully save my brothers and sister.
But you don't
So
think
you
there was
think
an
that's
alternative?
internally- Yeah.
Well, go ahead.
So you're just saying that this is ultimately motivated by his own concern for his family? Because I just
but
feel
why
like
would he care?
that's what I'm saying is that like you're coming up with a really good interpretation, but I feel like it's not presented clearly in the story.
Oh,
And it's not
possibly. And it's just like,
believable
yeah, I'm
for
just like,
Tyrion.
yeah, and I'm just thinking of a different, a possibility,
I
like
think
his
so.
possible motivation other than.
Fair.
Right, courtly
Fair.
loyalty.
I just feel
or,
like
yeah.
it's just
That's
not
just not
depicted in a
Tyrion.
way
To be
It's
that's
not
fair, when he
depicted
did
well,
when he did meet Daenerys, she was a very promising leader.
She
that
was.
She
We-
seemed
we
like a
thought she was
better
back then,
leader
yeah.
than anyone he's ever met in King's Landing.
Yeah.
And she treated him fairly. She treated, she didn't treat him like an imp
Yeah.
or looked at him wrong.
Yeah.
She treated him as a regular person and respected him.
Well, I was reading a take where they were saying that it was fear that was keeping Tyrion in line, and I don't know if I agree with that. I
Tyrion
don't-
has never been a slave to fear.
Yeah. So I don't.
Oh, I just want to like read a couple of comments
Sure.
from people online. So I had one from MJ Flores 776.
What's up, MJ Flores? Thanks
What's
for
up,
being in
man?
chat
Oops,
again.
sorry. Thanks for the comments. He makes 2 comments about a couple of things. He's like, I don't know if any of you caught it, but he was also trying to poison Dany. That was what the conversation with the little girl was about, and Dany's men were watching. So the little bird.
Oh, is that why she was in the kitchen?
I guess that's what. Because
And then they never followed through with it?
well, because
or-
she said the little girl said she's not eating, so he
Oh,
wasn't
I
able
see.
to.
Oh, she won't eat the food.
You're
so
saying Varys tried to poison.
was trying. That's why
Right.
he had the little girl in the kitchen,
Oh.
and the
Okay.
little girl was coming back. and
Maybe
saying
that's how
she's
she
not
got-
eating,
he got
and
caught.
maybe
Maybe
that's
that's how
why
he
he
got
got caught. And then MJ Flores continues with, because Tyrion has lived in Westeros and seen the men of the country mess things up for so long, Dany is different, or so he thinks. Plus, he's always had a fascination with dragons, and I think he knows any side with dragons is the winning side.
Gosh, it's.
Man, it's hard to.
I feel that's hard to
make that
swallow
call.
He
for
was
me.
right, but he didn't foresee how she would fall
She was
apart
gonna
when
do that,
all her
yeah.
close advisors were gone.
Right.
And that's another thing with Daenerys' character. A lot of people didn't like this episode.
right.
I'm curious as to know, like, what was the bit that really tipped people over. I think a lot of people didn't like the fact that Daenerys suddenly decided to go berserk and kill thousands of innocent people.
She went blood rage. Yeah.
I mean, in the moment when it was happening, I guess I kind of bought it. I was like, yeah, she's just like having a moment. But
Right.
when I thought about it afterwards, I
Yeah.
was like, but her character arc has always been about championing the weak, the
Right.
innocent,
right.
and freeing people from tyranny.
Right.
So because she's having a bad day, all her close advisors are dead or betrayed her, she suddenly decides to go against that internal character trait.
Yeah.
It actually doesn't make sense. And I
Yeah.
don't doubt that George R. R. Martin intended for her to lose it,
Yeah.
but not like that. There's
Right.
ways
You know,
of
there
doing
are
it.
different ways. One example
have
of
to be like
losing
that.
it without
Right.
harming civilians that
Yeah.
is still in keeping with her character. She flies directly to the castle, burns the
Why
castle
did
with
she just
Cersei
do that?
in it.
Well, but then that's not
Versus-
considered being mad, though. I mean, that's being smart.
I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
but still, like it's a very mad, brash way of doing something like that, which is
Yeah.
still in keeping with like the,
Like, yeah,
the
like
sense of
ruthless.
anger
Yeah,
that
sense
she
of anger,
has,
which makes sense for
without
Daenerys.
going against the character of harming innocents.
Yeah,
basically.
I don't know why. I don't know why she didn't just do that.
Well,
I mean,
my gripe is that I mean, yeah, like you said, that was probably George's intention to have her actually make the switch.
Yeah.
And I don't mind that at all that she does because I
It
think
would be genius
Yeah.
if they made this an entire. The reason why she's in Essos the whole time is to build up her villain origin story.
right.
But
That'd be cool.
it wasn't
yeah.
done well.
Yeah. And for
It's
me,
too late to
it
do
was
that, honestly.
yeah, it was actually the moment of her turn when the bells are ringing and
You're too little, too late.
I
Is that
called
what
it.
yeah,
I
and
mean,
then
yeah.
she
It's
snaps
just
and I was
kind
like
of
I mean,
brilliant.
I
that's
think
it.
I
That's
said
why
the same
that's
thing.
the reason
She's
why.
gonna go nuts.
Did you guys watch After the Thrones though?
Yeah.
They,
I
they
didn't
said why
bother.
she did it.
Yeah.
Because they were saying if all these terrible things hadn't happened to her, like Jorah dying, Varys
Right.
betraying her, Jon betraying her, then she wouldn't have done this. But because she was already in a fragile mental state, and she sees the Red Keep, she sees the Lannister crest, and she's like, my ancestors built this Red Keep. You guys took it from me, and you are the reason I've suffered my whole life.
Okay.
I mean, it's like,
many
Still
things
doesn't
involved.
matter why she would kill
Yeah,
us.
I
So
don't,
many
I don't
things
get the
involved.
like yeah.
uh,
I'm gonna get political here, but I feel
shit.
like
Shit.
people who are
Goddamn.
gonna be defending Dany's decision are basically like saying, "Oh, you know what? I condone war. I condone like U.S. foreign policy of like killing civilians for
Even
the
that,
purpose
though,
of that."
I feel like
Because
that can even
Yeah.
almost be justified in some ways, but oh my God, it's not okay. I can see. hold on. No. I can see how some people might see how that's justified in some ways.
right,
With
and
Daenerys
that's a problem. I find that kind of disturbing. You
But
know
I
what
feel like
mean?
this is even more nonsensical.
Yeah.
Like she just had a bad day.
She had a bad day. That's
What's
why
the-
I commented on our friends
Yeah,
saying that.
yeah.
Remember? And I was just like, I was bullied all of my childhood.
Yeah,
like in
yeah.
third grade, I didn't sit with anybody. But if I had dragons, would I burn down my school? No.
If you're one of those like armed
Well, yeah.
killers, like shooting up schools.
Right.
Yeah, but again, like I hate when like people say like, oh, mass shooters, they were just bullied at school.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Like,
remember in the throne room?
as if that justifies that or that excuses.
Well, I'm
something like
trying
that.
to understand. Maybe there is something. Remember in the throne room, and Tyrion says, "Why can't you show mercy?" And she goes, "This is mercy for the future generations that will no longer be suffering under a tyrant."
But
I think
she's
that was
becoming the
D&D's
tyrant.
way of trying to make Daenerys make sense of her own decision. But that doesn't make sense either. Like,
But then she killed the very people she was
wait,
trying
that's
to
what I'm trying to
She killed her
understand
own
why.
armies too.
Let's
That fire
pretend
was
we're
indiscriminate.
trying to defend her. What would you say? Because I'm really trying to understand like how people can defend this.
Right.
What? There's not even going to be people to obey her anymore. She killed half the city.
Okay, I'll play devil's
Okay,
advocate.
exactly. Please play devil's advocate for me.
I'll play devil. Okay, so Dany was looking at the Red Keep, ringing the bells,
Yeah.
and she's thinking that this little city, or actually it's pretty big.
Yeah.
A million people.
I
Big
realized how big
city.
it was.
Yeah,
it took her a-
it's
took her a
crazy
while to
large.
torch
Yeah,
them.
I was like,
yeah.
I know, a million people, even by today's standards, that's
That's
a big
lot of
city.
people,
yeah.
for her, aside from their leader, their queen,
Right.
was responsible for the death of some of her closest friends.
Mm-hmm.
Aside from, not backing them up in the war against the dead,
Right.
and basically like, how can I trust you and your people who don't support us? And now if I took over, you're just gonna be mouths I have to feed, take care of, and will probably turn on me just like Marine. And so at
That's
this
what a
point,
villain thinks, though.
no,
That's assuming the people are like in actual power of what's going on. They're blind followers of the tyrants.
well, but
they have no
you
power.
got it for her. Like she came from Marine, where the slave, like she mentioned earlier, the slaves are the ones who turned against the masters. And in her point of view, these King's Landing folks,
Because they're responsible
are
somewhat.
they're
Right.
still they're culpable
my
because
God.
unlike the slaves
God,
turned
no,
on them,
That's crazy.
and they should
That's-
have had a chance to overthrow the queen.
It's not like this is
right there and then.
democracy, you know?
No.
Like they don't have any power.
think
And
that's
to be
a-
fair, and she
no,
did
that's a
say,
stretch of
and
the
she did say,
imagination
she
that is
did
not
say
pers-
she's gonna break the wheel, and
By
in a
killing
way,
everyone?
King's Landing is the wheel.
No,
the
I
throne
don't,
is the wheel.
I honestly like. After even hearing that, I'm like, it's nothing justifies it. Nothing.
MJ
justifies
Flores
it.
776 says they would have turned on her and back to John, or turned her back on John. And then he also said, "Dads play badly." Exactly. In Essos, they threw off their chains, but the people of King's Landing didn't do shit.
They're not gonna.
They don't have power.
They don't have. She has a dragon. Of course, they're gonna They're gonna obey her. What are they gonna say? No, we'd rather die, burn us to death.
Let's be
are
clear
you
though.
talking about?
These are innocent people
Yeah.
that have not attempted anything. They haven't attempted revolt against their queen. They haven't attempted any. Dany doesn't even know what they're capable of. Really,
She doesn't even know them.
They're actually they're strangers to her, but they're
Correct,
supposed to
and
be
that's
her
why also why
subjects.
Dany doesn't care.
Oh, that's where you're wrong because like Dany cares about people that
That's
are
her whole character,
subjects.
yeah.
Her whole character arc. Even in Meereen,
That's why people love her.
People
Yeah.
like that were strangers to her. She overthrew the masters so that she could free the people of Meereen, who she did not know before. Right? If that's in keeping with her character, why would she destroy the people that she's trying to rule?
Because that's what I'm saying, though. Like, at least the people of Marine did something.
I don't know.
But the people of Marine did that as a result of her stepping in. She didn't even give the chance to these people to.
I think that's the key point. Like, they were never given the chance.
They were never given a chance to do anything.
Right.
She
In a
actually
few seconds, she decides to kill them all.
right.
So
This was even worse than burning the Karstarks because at least with the Karstarks, I mean, even
You
though
mean
it was
the
edgy-
Tarleys?
The Tarleys?
The Tarleys, sorry.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, with the Tarleys because like
yeah, she gave them a
even
chance.
with the Tarleys,
yeah.
that
Right.
was a tyrant's order, mind
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
Like
bend the knee.
that was an
Yeah.
ultimatum. But with the Tarleys, who were not innocent, by the way,
Yeah.
actively revolted against her,
Yeah,
she gave
yeah,
them
yeah.
a choice.
Yes. Yeah.
With the people of King's Landing, women and children who were inside the walls, and they rang the bells to surrender.
Yeah.
She of
They
all
already
people
surrendered.
did not let
Yeah.
down. It does not make sense.
Yeah.
It really does not. If they wanted her to be a lunatic or like be Mad King Eris, there had to be something better. Not
and
Uh,
Mad King. Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Well, I read somewhere once that they were also saying, look, what message are you trying to send? That like you can't escape like your genes or something like that.
Right, right.
Because
Right.
the idea behind it is the Targaryens, they don't all go mad. Her brother was a good guy who never went mad. The father, Mad King Aerys, was already suffering from like schizophrenic delusions, and he believed that if he burned the city, he would rise back as a dragon. Dany's nowhere nearly that point.
No,
she's completely lucid.
She's isolated. She's depressed.
Yeah, but she's still that doesn't really make sense.
It really does not make sense. Anyway,
I mean, just to clarify all this, the problem is not with the fact that she turned.
Right.
I love the idea.
I love the idea of a villain origin story.
Yeah, I like
It'd be super great if they like went into detail about that, you know, and made us believe it. But as it is, there's not enough setup.
Right.
You know,
it's just the circumstances they provided to us.
Again,
were not
it's the rushing
adequate.
part.
Right.
Because again, I don't think many people have a problem with her doing something crazy at the end.
Right.
You know, that would be actually
although
really cool.
I think people's problem is just the horror of her massacre.
Well, yeah, but like,
they don't like that she did it.
I don't think her turning, just the fact that she turned and massacred all these people, I don't think that that's necessarily that was foreshadowed. That the possibility.
Oh, our producer said something to me earlier that I must say.
Right.
Foreshadowing.
I know what you're saying. I know what you're going to bring up.
Foreshadowing.
Right.
Is not character development.
It is not.
Joey Gunn
Even
says,
though it was foreshadowed, it doesn't mean that it was legitimately set up, earned character
absolutely.
development.
I'm not saying
That's
that.
true.
Joey Gunn says, there's enough setup, just the execution at the end was messy.
Well,
but the setup was there.
The setup was there. I mean, I think the foreshadowing.
You know what? I'll give him. I can sort of see it.
Right.
There's a little bit. There's a little bit. Yeah. The execution was very messy. It was sloppy.
I think the distinction too is like some of the setup. I was reading a lot about that today too, and the setup is when she does do all those things, like you said, Jen. It was against people that basically wronged her, right? So the slave masters, she burned them. So
that was an ideological difference.
Ideological things, right? So her brother, you know, all those things. But this. The difference, the big difference is the innocence, right?
Yeah.
These are innocent people, women
multiple
and children
shots
that
of
basically,
children crying,
basically
hiding
that
behind
she's
walls.
basically doing. So
you were
that was
looking
the
at like
real
Yemen
sort
in
of
front of you.
disconnect.
Yeah.
So even the setup,
Syria.
even in the setup of her doing those bad things and burning all the Dothraki, you know, doing all those things. It's really just like her. Those were basically winning her freedom or winning somebody else's freedom. This was just completely different and very different from that, you know.
So very different from anything else.
It's just a different story when you're saying she's burning alive women and children that have essentially surrendered.
Yeah, and I mean, I think she just went. You know, she just gave 0 Fs at that point and was just like, I hate all these people. You killed my best friend. I've been here in this stupid island. All my friends are dead.
That's the thing. I think it's too nihilistic of an approach if we expect that when somebody thinks that they give 0 fucks, that they will just indiscriminately kill everyone.
Yeah, I think
choose not to believe that humanity's best is like that.
Well, we're talking about Daenerys here.
Yeah.
From the beginning.
Best, though.
Okay, so I think we can all. I've always felt from the beginning. I'm like, I thought she was going to be this gentle, kind heroine.
Yeah.
And Ser Jorah in the first season says, "Khaleesi, you have a gentle heart," and she goes, "I do not have a gentle heart." And then you're like, "Oh shit, she actually doesn't." There is an underlying streak of ruthlessness.
There has always been.
It's the Targaryen.
She's Targaryen.
Yeah. She's kind of like Bible. Yeah, it's kind of. You know, she's like a Gemini. She can switch back and forth.
Yeah.
So there's always been that sense of ruthlessness that in real life, if I myself were given her level of power, there's no way I would be way chicken to do that. But that's what makes her so formidable when she takes the Unsullied in Astapor and she burns the Masters.
Right.
What's interesting is in real life, just a brief history lesson. You guys remember Queen Elizabeth, right?
Right.
Queen Elizabeth I of England. Now, she's known as the Virgin Queen, and everybody loved Elizabeth. She was like pretty. She was single and available. She was a good ruler. She was intelligent. She was talented. She was interesting, fashionable. And then her cousin, Queen Mary, is the one who's known as like Bloody Mary, the chick who was crazy. And,
The ugly one.
The ugly one, the one that
Even though
nobody
she was
liked.
not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, and she's also Catholic.
Yeah.
And she burned a lot
She's
of
not
people
Anglican?
at the stake. Yeah.
Right.
In reality, Queen Elizabeth killed way more people than she
Right,
did.
right.
Way more people. What Queen Elizabeth did was she's like, I don't want anyone who's a fanatic. So if you're too into your own thing, I'm gonna burn you at the stake.
Yeah.
But we have this image of her as like this good queen, you know. So, but even that has a principle behind it. And the principle is I don't want any fanatics in my country. Whereas, you know, like with Daenerys, up until season 7, 8, she is the good, kind queen whom everybody loves, but she has that principle like you follow me.
Yeah.
Like if you
No slavery.
She has a hard
no
line.
slavery.
She has very hard lines.
Yeah.
hard like do not cross her boundaries.
Right.
Black and
She
white.
will
This
fuck
goes
you
back
up.
to
Yeah.
establishing the rules of the world.
Exactly.
Right.
And
Only
yeah.
a Sith
so far,
deals in
we buy
absolutes.
it.
Right.
We buy it. We're like, you know, even
Nobody
in season
cares.
5 when she started burning the masters,
Yeah.
Right.
that's when people started not liking her.
Yeah.
Even then, I was like,
Well, she's
I
burning the
get it.
masters,
Yeah,
I
it's like she is killing the
guess.
masters. Yeah. In this past episode, I think you're undoing a lot of character work that we've built up for her because now her rules go out the window.
Yeah.
And
Because it's like we don't know
it's just
who
like
she is
we don't know
anymore.
who she is anymore.
Does she just not
what
care?
If, what if it's
Like,
their
no.
message on like how people ride along to these tyrants all the way up thinking that these tyrants are good
Well, I think that's
Walter,
very valid.
that's
That's
exactly
it's
what I'm
absolutely
saying.
valid.
and they're like, "Ha, got you," because now
Yeah.
you're the one who helped. You know, you supported this guy.
You're part of the problem
Yeah.
at this point. Yeah.
Wait,
no,
I don't- I
Walter,
don't
that's
get it.
exactly
What
what
do you
I'm
mean?
saying. He's saying that, like, what if this is. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but what I'm hearing from you is that, like, seeing how people still rally behind Daenerys even
Yeah.
after her doing this atrocity goes to show
Right.
I
that
see.
people will still blindly follow tyrants
Tyrion.
when they rise to power.
Okay, yeah. I can
so
see that. Yeah.
I completely understand, and I think that Daenerys has become that.
Whereas
Yeah.
like Jon Snow, on the other hand, is like kind of her mirror. They're similar, but not almost opposite or something like that.
They
Like,
used to ideologically belong in the same chapter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like now, I mean, John has always been about like true moral goodness. You know?
yeah.
He's
and
lawful
Dany
good.
used to be too.
lawful good, yeah.
Well,
She's
actually,
chaotic good.
no, I
No,
think
he's not. He's neutral
he's
good.
chaotic good.
Oh, who? John?
Jon Snow.
John. Dude, like the stuff that he did against the Night's Watch, you know? That got him killed.
Neutral
But a
good?
neutral good could
Neutral
do that.
good.
Yeah.
I would say
would also
neutral
do
good.
that.
Let's use neutral
true.
good.
One thing I rewatched it today. One of the things I thought about John was he's never been in a battle where essentially he's sacking a city. In almost every
Yeah.
battle in Game of Thrones and in history, when the army sacks a city,
Yeah.
all that stuff happens.
Right.
Here's
The
something
raping,
ironic.
the
The raising.
pillaging,
Raping.
the
Well-
killing of the innocents.
Here's something
Every
ironic.
battle that he's been against has literally been, against the
Like
death.
the
So,
wildlings
Yeah.
I mean, there's a
against
lot for him to process, obviously, because the
no.
turn, but then also he's never really been in a battle quite like that.
But the Night's Watch. Oh yeah, he wasn't there when at Castor's Keep either.
Craster's
Craster?
Keep?
Crasters.
Oh, no, he
Craster's
fought
great
at
name.
Craster.
he fought at Craster's.
Caster's Creep.
Oh,
You remember he fought
during
the knife
the
dude?
rescue.
Yeah, during the rescue.
But not when they first went there and then they started raping the daughters because he was
No, no, no,
kidnapped.
no,
He,
right,
yeah,
right,
he
yeah.
left. Yeah.
Oh no.
So he wasn't. Yeah. So yeah, you're right in that part. I mean, and for the most part, I think John, he always wants to be in the moral high ground, even in combat.
Absolutely.
Whereas Dany is like, I'll win no matter what it takes.
She's
Like,
also not very well versed in ruling, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So
She's actually kind of shitty.
yeah.
Hmm.
I like. She
Anyway,
would say things like,
yeah.
"I'm not a politician. I'm your queen," and it's like,
What does
Okay,
that
like,
mean?
What does that
what
queen
the
mean?
fuck does that even?
What does that mean?
Yeah.
There's such.
She's saying like, I have absolute power and
Right.
you need to obey me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It kind of scares me because I feel like there are kind of some people out there like that, even in normal
Well-
everyday interactions, who are like, "Look, just go with me because I know what's best for everyone.
Right.
Just follow me." You know.
But there's also people who, and a lot of these, a lot of them are like forever like Danny standing, and it's like,
Standing
yeah.
Danny.
Standing Danny.
Standing
I mean,
Danny.
I've already stopped standing
I
Danny.
had
Right.
to stop.
I had to stop.
used to stand her so much.
Me too.
I-
I stand
yeah,
her so
I
Two
totally
hard.
different
stand her.
cosplays of her.
Yeah.
But like once you start seeing where they're going with her, and I feel like I saw it like kind of early on. I was like, I know where
Season
they're going to go
5.
with this. Yeah.
Season
Saw it.
5 is when I
Yeah.
started not liking
I'm
it.
like, oh gosh, I know where this is going.
Yep.
So like when this turn happened, it wasn't much of a shock.
I was not surprised, but
not
I
at
also
all.
was not satisfied.
No, but the scary thing is that like people still stand here up to this day.
That's
And
what
what does
I
that
mean,
me
people
out.
stand this show. To the
right?
That
What does
creeps
that
me
say?
Out, though.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Because like that means that a lot of people are okay with the slaying of innocents. in
no, I think they're
justific-
saying it's
you know?
justified. Like it's understandable. She's stressed out.
It's
No.
understandable.
yeah.
Holy shit.
It's a poetic,
That
like it's kind of
scares me.
romantic and poetic.
scares
like,
me
She
a
just
lot.
lost her shit and killed
Oh,
everyone.
fuck me,
No.
man.
God, that's just creepy as fuck.
It's
Anyway.
like that Chris Rock stand up. It's like,
Right.
do you know what I'm talking about? He's like,
Yeah.
but I understand.
Right. I won't do that.
Oh, it's like when he
But
was
I
on the road trip,
understand.
He's like, I wouldn't kill my ex-wife, but
But
I
I
understand.
right.
Oh my god.
Oh
What are
God.
people saying?
Um,
Conqueror, which let's get real, is just another name for mass murder.
Oh,
All right, dads
true.
play badly.
True.
Joey
Yeah,
Gunn
Dad's played badly.
says,
What's up?
Yes, it's understandable. It makes sense that she lost her shit, but doesn't mean we support the atrocity behind it.
Yeah.
Oh, it absolutely. It
Amen.
makes absolute sense
Amen.
that
And-
she did.
Yes.
But yeah, again, this is about the presentation of it, the her character development,
Yeah.
whether or not that was portrayed in a satisfying way to make us believe that it could happen.
Ding 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 ding.
Yeah.
The plot point of her getting to burn the city was pre-planned. You know that this was decided upon.
I feel like
as
yes,
a point
I
in the
think
writer's
her
room.
and Grey Worm decided this.
No, I think she means like.
I mean,
In real life?
D&D. We're
I mean
like,
D&D.
we're gonna do.
Sorry.
Yeah, they're like, we're gonna burn the. Danny's gonna be a villain. Villain.
Billion.
Villain.
I shall throttle thee,
Seven
villain.
million villains.
I don't think that Grey Worm was in on it.
I think
I
Grey
think she
Worm
ju-
was in on it.
She told everyone, all right, if they ring the bells, I'm gonna pull out. But that's why the camera closes in on her, and she's like,
She doesn't say yes or no.
I think she kind of did. She was like, okay. She kind of gave acquiescence.
Say okay.
Who?
I mean,
Actually,
didn't she
I need to go
agree?
back and see.
Did you watch it again? Didn't she agree
When
that if the
Tyrion-
bells ring, she won't attack?
She doesn't say.
She doesn't say.
Oh yeah, I
doesn't
don't think
say
she says.
anything.
I think
Oh, I
it
thought
was.
she did.
No.
I think it was.
She like nods her head or something.
Oh,
I
you're
don't
right.
know. I
Maybe
think
she
we're
does.
reading
She
into
does.
it.
Gosh, maybe.
Because that's what makes Tyrion go like, okay.
That's why
all right,
making.
and then he walks
Yeah,
away.
that's maybe why he walks
I
away.
think Tyrion, like all of us, are trying to read into Daenerys what we wish to read into
I
Daenerys.
mean,
We're projecting.
I knew it was
While
gonna
the
happen when
puppets-
she gave that
while
half
the
So-
puppet
nod.
masters
Yeah.
that be
We've
jostle our
talked,
strings.
we've talked quite a bit about
yeah.
the Mad Queen and her decision.
Right.
And obviously that's a huge divisive point. But what else? I mean, there's a lot of other things that happened
There's
in
a
the
lot.
episode.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, can we
Um,
move?
All
Let's
right,
talk about.
Let's
move
let's
on.
talk
Yes,
about
move on.
that stuff.
How about Euron and Jamie? That
Oh
little
yeah, how
encounter.
did they end up on the same rock together?
I like
like,
how
oh, you're
Drogon
broke.
fires the ship and then like Euron jumps off. He's like, ah! He's alive somehow.
And then they both end up in the same little cove.
I know.
Right.
Like,
And they end up in the same cove. Yeah.
Yo,
Man,
oh,
it
the cove
sucks.
with the dinghy. Yeah, I know that cove. Let's go to that cove.
All I'm saying is that like, God, I'm glad he's dead. Like Euron, I was
Yeah.
just like, I don't know why this character is here.
He's evil for the sake of being
Exactly.
evil.
It's like
We don't even care
cartoonish.
about him. It's cartoonish.
It's like,
yeah.
His
Why?
actor's really great though.
It sucks. I
think-
know.
I just want to know is when did Jamie get freaking Wolverine's healing factor? Like
Oh.
I
he
know.
got
He
stabbed
totally
twice
shaped it.
into
Right.
the like your
Well, okay,
lungs.
he
I
was
know
stabbed
exactly.
in
I was
the
like,
arm.
he totally got his both lungs pierced.
He was in the back. No, I
Yeah.
thought he was in the back.
No,
No.
it
I
was
mean, that's
in
where
the,
his
in the
lungs
belly.
are.
The
No,
belly.
it was like
Both sides.
ribs.
Yeah.
That's why he
Yeah.
was like heaving,
I mean,
wheezing.
I can
yeah.
see how he'd still. It's
Those are
amazing
t-
that he was able to climb all
You're
the
gonna-
way up to the Red Keep.
You would die of
Right.
sepsis and collapsed lung.
But it's, I mean,
like,
like
he made all the way to the Red
made it
Keep,
all the way up to the
hug
Red
Cersei,
Keep, and then
bring
goes out to
Cersei
Maegor's
back
Wolf.
down.
Yeah.
all right.
Look for escape
Arya
routes
got
and then
gutted
hug.
in Essos.
Yeah, I was
and
gonna
she
say,
jumped into like
but nothing
piss water.
compares
Right.
to Arya getting gutted several times in the stomach, jumping into the water, and then the next
into
day
piss water.
she just has some bandages
I know.
and she's okay.
Selling more oysters, clams, and cockles.
And a fat pigeon.
I know.
Oysters, clams, and cockles.
Cockles.
How
those
much
are the
is your
days.
oyster, girl?
That dude,
So,
that was cool.
Speaking of Jamie and Cersei,
Right.
satisfying completion of their
Okay,
arc.
okay. So we gotta talk about
no,
Cersei's
man.
character
All right.
arc.
All right. Go ahead,
What did you
Kaitlyn.
guys think?
Dude, I don't know if this is just a bloodthirsty.
What'd you think of Cersei's conclusion?
I
And-
wanted
and
her
Jaime's
to. I
conclusion?
wanted her to die on camera.
Yeah.
I wanted
like,
Arya to just
something.
wait in that little plaza just a little longer to have caught her.
Right.
Some people are arguing that like Arya wouldn't have backed down. She's traveled all this.
Yeah.
She's a revenge.
That's
I-
very
I see
strange.
that
Like,
too.
she
Very
killed
strange
the
that she was
Night
just like,
King.
okay,
why
yeah.
would she be afraid of Cersei or like?
Well, no, it's supposed
was
to be
like the
afraid of the building collapsing.
building collapsing, I
I
guess.
kind of bought it. I can see how
Sort of.
some people were not down with it.
Right.
I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I found the whole thing laughable as soon as she and the Hound went to the camp. We're like, we're going to kill the queen, and they were like, okay, like they just let them in.
Right.
It was like such bad writing. I thought it was comical.
That was
God.
weird. That was
But
weird.
anyway, Cersei. So
Oh, but
like,
Cersei, yeah.
that ending reminded me of the end of Rogue One.
When
Oh right,
like,
this was very much the end of Rogue
Oh,
One.
when the planet.
Jyn Erso
Yeah.
and
Like,
Cassian hug each
Hugging,
other,
and then
yeah.
like
as
the
they
explosion, like
embrace
going,
their
yeah,
death.
Yeah.
Except that was heroic. So
Ex-
why was
Yeah.
the two people that we saw as villains from
Yeah.
season 1, and Jaime essentially establishes himself as being more loyal to Cersei than all of the other more morally good things he's been starting to do.
The entire
he goes back.
series.
They
Yeah.
just
So why
threw
does
that
it-
shit away.
Right.
All of
So
it.
then why? Well, I mean, so why did they get the heroic ending? Because everything that
Was
in
it
the way that-
heroic?
in the way that it was framed, right? It seemed very romantic. Sad music was playing. You had the mixture of the two songs. Cersei was crying. He was holding her. They were both telling each other it's gonna be okay.
It was a very romantic ending.
That's what I mean. It's like,
Right.
why are
They
we
didn't
supposed to
deserve-
be
Right.
romanticizing
Cersei
their
didn't
end?
deserve it for sure.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Why were they given that? I mean, that's true. Now I
Yeah.
see it. It's
Yeah.
like we had these villains for fucking 10 years, you
Right.
know? And
For some people, 25 years. you know,
right,
like,
yeah, for some
wow.
people 25 years. And like
23.
why of all the people, of all the good people that we've ever loved in this series, why do they get the romantic ending?
Yeah. Well, my roommate put it this way: if Jaime had returned to King's Landing to kill Cersei, it would have been too much foreshadowing and maybe a repeat of Jon having to kill Dany in this next episode. Is what I'm guessing. They couldn't have had two of the same
I know,
death
so
back to back.
Still would have made more sense.
see,
Yeah.
Even MJ Flores 776 says, "I wanted Cersei to die at the hand of someone." Jamie,
Same
Arya,
here.
or
Everybody,
Absolutely.
Tyrion. I felt cheated.
everybody
I wanted that
did.
shit on
Everybody
camera.
did.
Cersei,
Yeah.
like, let's think about that for a second. Cersei died because of a collapsed ceiling.
She dies of the brick. The brick.
How does
killed
that
her.
feel?
making
Yeah.
How
Tyrion
does-
the
how
tallest
does that make you
Lannister.
feel?
I know, exactly.
I love that.
That
meme.
doesn't feel satisfying at all.
It's not satisfying.
Anyway.
Okay, so I'm trying to think how someone could find it satisfying. Playing
Right.
Devil's advocate. I kind of get it.
Right.
I kind of bought it, but was it the most interesting route to go? Absolutely not. But I was like, I guess I buy it. I think what they were trying to say,
Right.
at least for sure, I think what they were trying to say with Jaime is that, we're all on a spectrum of good and evil. And though it has been shown that he does possess some heroic qualities, at the end of the day, he goes back to who he truly is.
Understandable.
He
get that,
came
yeah.
into this world with Cersei. He's going out of the world with Cersei.
Right.
They're gonna die together.
I get
Is
it.
it interesting? Nope. But I can see why they went that way.
Or they're trying to say
They're
like
trying to
everyone
s-
comes back to their basic instinct.
Big,
Right.
yes. And I think that was supposed to
Jon
be.
Snow
the
is going to go
conclusion
back
of
to
this
his
I could
basic
see
instinct.
that.
Daenerys is going to go back to her basic instinct of being savage.
I see
Not
that
good
this could
enough.
be the
Yeah.
Not good enough for me.
that could be the reason for all of this.
I was gonna say, or
Right.
if that's what they were trying to make with all the characters, then I
Right.
guess I could see that. But that's not what they're gonna do with all the characters. So it was boring. It was unsatisfying. Of course, we wanted to see Cersei die a brutal death, but instead she has an off-camera death, almost
Right.
kind of bittersweet, happy
Yeah,
death.
I mean, I would have even been satisfied with just Arya stabbing her with needle, and that would have been satisfying.
But again, we're not following through with character arcs anymore. That's the primary qualm that I have with the
Right.
series as a whole now.
Yeah,
is because
it's
like
just
all of the
a
setup,
free-for-all.
all of the things that we're like expecting the show to do at this point, none of
Yeah.
the things we well again, like it's not saying that like, oh, what we expect to happen must happen, therefore
Right.
we are angry fans. But something like logical must happen. You know, of all the
Yeah.
presentable options, something must have happened, you know? But I feel like everything that's decided upon in the show is more so done for shock factor and so that you won't expect it.
Yeah.
That's,
Exactly.
You know,
They
that's
they
fair
listen to everyone's
over what is
theories and
logical.
like, let's
They're like,
write it so it's opposite
Hold
of
my
that.
copy.
I think
That's the
that
tea.
like
Yeah.
and I think there's been like overall just in narrative fiction there's an overemphasis on doing things unexpected.
Yeah.
Well,
which
they
is
certainly
tiring.
subverted my expectations. I
Right.
expected a good conclusion.
Right.
And they
Oh.
subverted that.
She said it.
But like subverting the expected is not like the root of good storytelling.
Absolutely.
And people are
Not about
substituting it for it. And you know, a lot of people will review things and they'll say like, "Oh, it was so unexpected how this happened." Yeah, but how's the rest of the fucking
Right.
how's the rest of the fucking piece?
that. Right.
But why or how?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I
So,
just wish. Yeah, I just wish she just flew directly to the Red Keep and just burned the tower.
So many
right
ways
off the
this could have
bat.
happened.
But here's the thing,
Right.
Walter. D&D were like, well, she could do that, but that's
But-
boring. So let's have her do random
Nah,
shit.
man, just fucking
before
pay it
it's-
off for once.
No,
God
it's
damn.
because they don't have anything exciting to give us. So they're like,
Right.
well, then we'll just have her kill a bunch of people. That's exciting, right? Let's have her do that.
I mean, like in that when that decision is being made,
You know what I
it's
mean?
like,
Like-
you know, you could do. I mean, even if you didn't have anything, just do the thing that makes
Just
sense.
do the thing that makes, even
Just
if
do
it's
the thing that
boring,
makes
I'd rather you.
sense.
It's
like
at
for
least more
example,
satisfying.
when
Yeah.
Tyrion's almost done talking to Daenerys, and then she's like, "Oh, by the way, I have your brother." I was like,
Oh, I know.
God. And he's like, "You have Jamie?" She's like, "Yeah, and you better do what I'm telling you to do, otherwise this will be the last time."
You failed me, isn't
Fail
it?
me
Yeah, right,
again.
right, right.
So Darth Vader shit. And then Tyrion, like, just to guarantee he's gonna fail, goes to save Jamie.
I know.
With a key.
I know.
With
This-
one key. You know? And then he goes to the
What
guards.
if he gets caught?
No, he goes to the guards.
Right.
And he's like, move aside. And the guards are like, we have orders not to. And he's like,
From
did
the queen?
Daenerys tell you?
I know.
And they're like,
Because I
no.
outrank you, yo.
I literally feel like it's like
Yeah.
a 5-year-old. Like,
It
be
was
like,
a
so did
sitcom.
mom say you could do it? And it's like, of course it was fun fucking Daenerys. Like, who else fuck would it be from?
Yeah.
And then
Why would
they're
the
like,
soldiers relent and let him
why?
in?
Why? And then
Yeah.
he's like, well, I'm the hand, so you better let me in. And they're like, okay. So they let him in. And it's very clear
my
that
God.
they just captured Jamie so that Tyrion could have a goodbye
A last scene
conversation
with him.
with Jamie.
Yeah. You know, like when that scene came on and like Jamie was tied to the post again,
And
I
then
know
they're trying
that
to be like, oh, it's like
it's
full
a harkening
circle.
back of the full
Full
Right,
circle when
right.
he was like
I
saved
started-
him. Yeah.
Bookended.
I started singing like, you know, Disney's Pocahontas?
Yeah.
When like John Smith is tied to the pole. I started
If
singing
I
when I
never knew you,
I would never have this love. Exactly. I
Yeah.
started singing because it was just so laughable
And
to
then
me.
Tyrion was like, "Yeah, run away with Cersei," as if he's
if-
ever given a fuck
As
about
if,
Cersei.
like, the relationship were something to be
to save,
celebrated.
yeah, as if it's something to save or settle. Like, why?
Anyway,
I don't know
Clearly
why
just
they.
wanted them to have a last conversation. Yeah.
I don't know why they've been pushing that so hard. Like
Mm-hmm.
Tyrion's concern for Cersei.
Well, some people are livid that
Right.
Cersei had a chance to kill Tyrion a few episodes ago. And
Oh yeah, yeah,
didn't.
yeah. At the
She
at
didn't
the
kill
gate of-
Tyrion.
yeah.
Is she crazy?
I don't know.
Like,
Well, I mean, it's that sibling. Even though she hates him, she still loves him because he's still family. She hasn't killed
Well,
him.
she
yet.
I
tried
don't
to
know.
kill him twice.
Yeah,
But
she's-
She literally tried to
but
kill him
did
twice.
he die?
No, but by freak accident, she literally tried to kill him twice. She's Cersei. Every time she sees Tyrion, should be like literally about to kill him, and for some
Because-
reason they're like,
right.
"Nah, let's not have her do that." Yeah,
Because the thing that they don't, they don't talk about or they don't cover a lot is that she's obsessed with the fact that he's gonna kill her.
Yeah.
well,
He's
they don't
gonna
care
be
about
there.
prophecy anymore.
Right,
so
right.
that didn't happen.
But
yeah.
Dad's Play Badly said Cersei can't kill her family. That's her one virtue.
Her children, she cares
Just
about.
family.
She's always hated Tyrion, though,
Dude,
in the
she
same way
literally
that
tried to
Tywin-
kill Jamie at the end of last season.
No, she threatened
She
to
did-
kill. Oh, she did
She
send an
did.
assassin.
Yeah, she tried to kill Jamie.
But Bronn didn't.
Bronn.
Also,
Oh, shit, where's Bronn?
what's the deal with Bronn?
So
Like,
Well,
there's only one Lannister
wasn't that the
left.
most awkward thing when Bronn
Right.
came in?
Came
He
in,
just walks
busted
into
in,
the
right.
place where two of the most powerful people in Westeros are chilling,
Yeah.
breaks Tyrion's nose, and then walks out.
Yeah.
So
What did he
random.
promise them again? In the
They promised him High
Highgarden.
Garden.
they're gonna win and they'll give him High
Highgarden,
Garden.
yeah.
Otherwise,
Otherwise, Tyrion's gonna die.
Well,
Otherwise-
Tyrion's
Right,
gonna die
someone's
now.
gonna
'cause,
well, I mean,
Jamie's
Cersei's
gone.
dead. Yeah.
So let's talk about some of the characters who did not make it through this. Well, we talked about
Okay.
Cersei. And what Sandor? What do you think?
The Hound.
Yeah, Sandor Clegane. Oh, 5 minutes.
I mean,
All right.
R.I.P. I mean,
Sandor, I'm fine with this story.
he went down
I
as
feel like
promised. I mean,
they were like kind of running out of options to kill him. They're like, let's do what we did with the Viper. Let's gouge his eyes out.
Oh yeah,
Like,
I was ready for that to actually happen.
so his head to pop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, that'd be too much.
Yeah.
it's just, yeah. I mean, I just thought he could have survived. He just chopped off the mountain's head, but you know, whatever.
You know,
It's not exciting.
something just occurred to me,
What?
which is that like all these people that we used to see as like villains, moderates, good people, all
Right.
around the spectrum, right? Like the D&D kind of spectrum.
Yeah.
Now, because they've survived for this long, we do have an attachment to them,
Right.
and I'm seeing this thing happen where all of their endings are given the same kind of treatment, which is like kind of the Avengers kind of treatment.
Which
We're
is-
all celebrating them as heroes versus as the people that they were. Like the Hound was never like a hero. You know what I mean?
Right.
But we did grow sympathetic towards
We
him.
grow sympathetic
Right.
towards him. Yeah, but then like he was given the same kind of like
heroic ending.
heroic ending the same way that Cersei was given.
Yeah, and
in the
Varys
same way
dying
that
nobly.
Varys was
in the-
given.
Yeah, that's
Right.
true.
So I'm just thinking that like
That's
all
true.
these endings are delivered in a very similar fashion. I think because it's like fan service, like paying off like
I
what
agree
you
I get
know,
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I get
absolutely
that.
get that.
you know.
Did you hear about what Reddit did?
What?
They like had so many upvotes for this one post in order to make D&D show up in Google Images when you search bad writers.
Oh,
Yeah, and it's true. I looked it up. When you when
Hey.
you type in bad writers, their picture shows
I mean,
up.
okay, let's be fair though.
Fuck.
Their job is
Damn.
very hard, and they're very
Right.
talented people. I will give them that. They're talented people.
Wolverine or
You see my, you saw my side or
I
something?
can't believe they wrote that.
Well, I mean,
I think David Benioff did.
Benioff
And
co-wrote
then
it.
I haven't read the
Yeah.
book, but you said Demi Weiss's book sucks.
Yeah.
Well, it was great.
They're-
Like that first
Like,
half,
the first half
and
was
then like
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the end was just like, what the fuck, man?
Seems like a foreshadowing, huh?
But think about it. If you were David
Right.
Benioff and someone told you like, hey, if you make Game of Thrones now, it's going
Right.
to be the most successful TV show on the planet, but George isn't going to finish the books and you're going to end on a horrible note. Do you think he would have said yes? He would have been
might
like,
have
no.
thought-
Like he would have been like,
Right,
I can't do
right,
that. Yeah.
right.
So in some ways, I
They're
am
good
sympathetic.
adapters.
Oh,
They're
I'm
very
absolutely
talented.
sympathetic.
I
of them,
read
right.
this thing
So
on-
much
But we'll
goes
give you
into
$5
art
million.
making. Yeah.
I read this comment on YouTube that made me chuckle so hard. Some guy typed in, he was like, I used to watch the After the Thrones discussion.
Right.
Like D&D were like these like freaking, they were like these prodigy type Picasso people
Right.
who were like
Something you had to-
explaining their deep
right.
art. Now I feel like
Vinci,
they're like
like-
college students who made a PowerPoint
Who
presentation they
plagiarized it.
memorized. They plagiarized 30 minutes before. and they're
He's
just
"Ah,
reading
man."
it.
Smoking a J and
Yeah,
just
like,
like,
they're like,
nah, dude, we just
so
do this.
in conclusion,
Let's do this.
on
That's
page
cool.
3, like that's
Science.
What if?
feels
Can
like
we
that.
talk about? Oh, sorry.
What?
I was gonna say, like, what if George did this intentionally? Like, I'm gonna not finish this book to see how these
fucked
guys
up,
has
dude.
been claiming
Yo.
popularity.
Well, there's
Right.
some
Turn
theories.
your
There's
own
some
wheel.
theories. Some people said that he had a falling out with them.
Right, you're right.
And he's like, "Well, fuck you guys. I'm just gonna wait
not
till you
gonna-
finish."
yeah,
this
I'm not gonna
serial.
give you
I'm
your
not gonna
clip
tell you
notes.
I
shit.
think
yeah,
he's
I'll
actually
give you the wrong
struggling.
ones. Yeah.
He's actually struggling because it goes back to the whole: are you character driven versus plot driven? He is the pants.
I don't
pantsy
doubt
type,
that he is
right?
struggling, but I think
Yeah.
there's also a possibility that maybe part of the reason why he's like, oh, it's not that big a deal now is because he's waiting for the show to be over. And then he's
Right.
like, I'm going to give you an alternate, even better, much more satisfying ending.
That'll be interesting.
It's like
Yeah.
1 month after the series ends, like, oh, here's the book. It's not on stores now.
This guy. Yeah.
It's like he just drops it.
Yeah, he drops it.
Publishers
Oh,
ready,
gosh.
like.
Yo, can you
Yeah.
imagine if that had that? Oh, man,
Whoa,
the
that would be
tea
the
would be
sickest
real.
burn.
The sickest burn.
Well,
yeah.
Apply icy hot.
Yeah.
we
Son
have
of icy hot and fire.
we have one episode to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think? What are your prospects going
Oh
into
my
it?
god.
Oh, man.
Can I? Before we even say that, can I just mention one big thing that
Sure.
I feel was missing?
What?
Bran.
yeah,
Bran.
yeah.
He's a non-entity now.
He is
His
absolutely
entire
not entity.
arc, the entire arc of season
done.
7 was for naught because Winter never made it to King's Landing.
Wait. Did you watch the upcoming episode preview?
No.
There's like snow.
No, that was Ash.
No, there's like icicles.
I think that's Ash from the burning, like from her, like from the for the
Yeah.
foreshadowing.
In
or
the Red Key.
See,
But-
they gave me
From
hope. that
House of
something-
Undying.
what I'm-
that
so it's
thing.
Ash.
right.
What I'm thinking is that, like, Bran and Jon and Arya basically saved the world from utter annihilation just to, like, lead the people of King's Landing, 1 million people, probably more people that died than more people in King's Landing than there were at Winterfell that died during the long
this
night.
is why I was so pissed off after episode 3.
Yeah.
That's why I was like, you literally can't piss me off more after this. This is the rock bottom. This is it's
I
Hold
didn't
my
realize
drink.
it at the time.
no. Everyone's been mad after episode 3, but for me, like episode 3 that's as low as you can go, and after that, I'm just more forgiving because I'm like, you fucked up so bad in episode 3. I can't even be mad anymore.
But it's like the big problem for me is if Bran's existing as the three-eyed raven was to save the world from annihilation, why is it that he could not see Dany's annihilation
see the
of 1
future.
million people coming?
He
here's
can't see
another
the
thing.
future.
People, I never believed that he could see the future. So why are people saying that? He can.
He cannot.
When do they show that he can see the future?
He can't see the future.
He can see the past.
He
Sorry,
can
I'm
look
eating
into
chips.
an avenue of time, right?
He can.
He's a green seer and a warg.
Okay.
Green seers
No.
can actually see glimpses of the future.
Is this in the show or the books?
In both.
Oh.
Remember,
'cause I thought they asked him and
actually,
he said, I can't see the future.
I'll give you an example.
Right.
In this last episode, you see Drogon flying over King's Landing. The shadow of Drogon is over King's Landing. That was in Bran's vision. He also saw the wildfire going off in one of his visions. And
He
that
also
before
So
that
it's like
happened.
little
saw the Night King
glimpses.
coming to him.
So he sees what my I'm just clarifying
Yeah.
is he sees glimpses. That
Okay,
was
okay.
before he became the full on three-eyed raven.
Yeah.
Right.
I remember
Now
that, yeah.
that's one of the gripes of the many people that love the magic more than the character development
Yeah.
is that his abilities haven't really truly been fleshed out. And that's
I
the
get that.
tragedy of Bran as a character in the show.
Such a tragedy.
Is that
He's super interesting.
it's just basically
Right.
yada yada out.
He's a
All of his abilities.
I mean,
all
he
of his
didn't warg into anything in that battle.
Essentially,
Yeah,
exactly.
He wasn't
Fuck,
revealed
He's-
to be the Night King.
Essentially, he's
Yeah.
the most powerful character in the world,
that is not
So
used.
right?
Yeah.
but
disappointing.
it's not
So
that way. In
It
the
went
show.
nowhere.
Yeah,
That's like
So
if the X-Men were
disappointing.
just like, nah, Professor X, you can leave, dog. Just,
That would be
chill.
like if you
Well-
you could argue his peak is like season 6.
we got
After that,
comments.
he's kind of
Right.
pointless. Yeah.
We got
Yo.
comments on the Twitch, like Fire Resistant Podcast. Hey guys.
Hey, what's up?
They say it wasn't Bran. It wasn't. I'm assuming they're talking about Bran. It wasn't to save the world. It was to preserve the history of men.
Right.
I feel like it's too little, too late. They have like one line the episode
then-
before.
right.
Yeah.
That was the stated thing. In
That was a stated
episode,
thing. And
right.
like, okay,
Yeah.
good. Now we have a reason to save Bran. Like, it wasn't built up.
Right.
You know?
I get that. Yeah.
And then I think it's Joey Gunn who asked question to host: which show will have the more divisive or hated series ending, Game of Thrones or
Or
Lost?
lost. Oh,
I'm just
see.
saying, ask us next
Both.
week.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, ask us next week.
Because
We'll
there's
see how it goes.
there's still the chance that some things might get paid off.
Like what?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying they're going to get paid off well.
Even if they are paid off, it's
Right,
gonna be
right, right.
like, who gives a shit?
But-
Queen,
like, I don't care
gave
anymore.
no shits
I
during
give no
this
shits.
episode.
Yeah.
But that's still better than Lost, which was like zero payoff. Like
I just wanna
narratively.
see-
So,
Did anyone like the ending of Lost? I
I'm
know
sure-
one
yeah,
guy
yeah,
who
a lot
did.
of people would. Yeah, did.
I just
But-
want to see if my theory is correct that
Right.
you know if for the end of Game of Thrones is
Which
that
is democracy.
democracy. They're like,
I think
F
that has to be
monarchy,
it, dude.
The wheel is broken. Let's do what the wildlings do and the Night's Watch, which is vote on the leader.
Ever since you said that at the beginning of season 8, I was like, that's probably going to be it.
I
don't
want
think
that to
so.
happen,
You don't
but
think
I
so?
don't know.
They didn't build up enough for it.
I don't
If they're
know.
all of a
They
sudden
didn't
like,
build
let's
enough for
have
a
a
lot of things.
democracy, then I'll be like, well, that's another piece of shit.
'Cause
That-
if
Well,
we-
I
if
think
we-
that's what's going to happen, though. I don't. It, like
or Bran becomes king.
the
No,
king.
no, Bran doesn't
King.
want to be king. He's a 3-eyed
I mean,
raven.
neither does
And then
Jon.
like, yeah, and the big question is, will Dany be killed and by whom?
I think John is going to kill Dany.
Or not Arya?
He will swing the sword because that's what he's been taught.
He will swing the
He's like,
sword.
I must.
the man who
They will make him king,
Makes a
and then his
sentence, like,
first
swing the sword,
act
right?
as king will be like, I have to kill you.
And
Dude, there's only
someone's
one
gonna have to kill
episode
Grey
left.
Worm too. I'm gonna be-
Torganito.
Not necessarily.
Grey Worm.
Oh, because he disregarded
he's loyal.
Jon.
He's
Yeah,
loyal
that's
to
true.
Dany.
We'll
I'm
see.
just shocked he's still
sad.
alive.
7 days, well,
So-
or no, whatever.
No.
6 days: Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
it's the last
I
episode.
can't count right now.
And
What's
you
up?
guys, any final thoughts on like what you think might happen in the last episode?
Danny's gonna die.
I think Danny's gonna die.
If she doesn't die, it'll be John, and that'll also be.
That'll be
weird.
like what?
That'll be like what? Yeah.
That,
So that's
that came out
Ash.
of nowhere.
That's not even snow.
It's
I thought it was
Ash.
snow. I got excited for a second.
Yeah.
So
See,
winter
there's
never
really-
even. Oh,
There's really
No.
nothing to be excited about.
That's what I mean. I
in the
can't even be
last-
excited.
I'm sorry for being a Debbie. I really don't mean to be. This is like one of my favorite shows of all time, and I'm just like very. I just feel like nothing has paid off, and at this point, like I don't know what to look forward to in the last episode. There's like literally nothing else to untie apart from punishing Dany.
I just wonder if they're gonna set it up for the prequels that's gonna come.
yeah, that's what they care about.
Oh
now.
God.
Money making.
They
Well-
just care about money.
I will say that, like, you know, I went fan bankrupt like a couple of weeks ago.
Fan bankrupt.
Yeah.
I think we all
What does that
did.
mean?
Yeah, I declared
No
fan
more fucks.
bankruptcy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yo,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
fan bankrupted definitely.
And I will say, watching the last couple episodes through my fan bankruptcy allowed me to enjoy the spectacle
That's
for
what
a
I
while.
mean. Like,
right.
Yes,
I
yes,
enjoy
yes.
it more now
Right.
because before, when I started noticing it going downhill, I would
Right.
get anxious. I'd be like, oh, please don't suck. Please don't suck. Like, oh my God, it kind of sucks. But like, I would have blinders on.
Yeah,
I'd be
Right.
like, well,
yeah,
no,
yeah.
there's still some good stuff in it. Like, just try to ignore that.
It's like
And
falling out of love,
it,
honestly.
oh my! It was like a breakup. You know, in a breakup where like you try to stop seeing some bad stuff and just be like, well,
No, it's
maybe,
fine.
Yeah, we could
Yeah.
fix
Yeah.
that or like. But once I finally gave up in season 7,
Right.
I was like, oh, like I was freed of my
Right, right.
expectation.
12-step process.
Yeah,
Well-
it finally
Was to
hit me.
stop
I was
giving a
like,
shit.
it legitimately sucks now, and
Yeah.
I don't have to care anymore.
Just enjoy.
Yeah.
yeah,
I
just
think-
enjoy it. Just enjoy it. Yeah.
I think I'm going into the last episode with that mindset,
Yeah,
and I'm
enjoy
looking
it.
forward
Don't
to
know.
what spectacle they're gonna offer.
And look forward to the memes. You know,
Right.
The,
No,
the
the
memes
memes
have been
are
what
heat.
been carrying me
Yeah.
through this whole.
It's gonna be strange.
It's
gonna be weird.
without Game of Thrones.
I mean, I think I'm still there just because John is still alive. It's like,
Right.
If John dies though.
if
been
John
my-
died, it's like when
Well-
Glenn died in Walking Dead. I'm like,
right.
There's no,
But dude, I stopped watching.
change channel.
This is done.
Change channel.
Well, see, for Glenn, it was a combination of that shit episode and Glenn dying, like after the cliffhanger came back. Like,
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Oh,
Spoilers.
sorry. Sorry.
so. When Glenn died, I was like, okay, let me try watching the next episode.
No,
Nope.
don't care.
That's still bad.
Yeah.
Like me and Death Note.
Are we still doing the
after Elle
game?
dies.
No. Okay.
I had a really good game
We'll play it
plan.
next time.
I
We'll play it
know.
next time.
We got a
Okay.
little excited.
Done?
Sorry. Holy yeah, I just looked at the time. So, well, geez. I don't know. I feel like we talked over a lot of stuff, and there's a lot of things going on in my mind. In the end, I'm excited to see this last episode. I don't know how it's going to end up, and I don't have much faith that it's going to be a lot of payoff, but it's going to be entertaining. I hope.
Yeah, I think it'll be entertaining at
Yeah.
the least. Yeah.
So, yeah, let's just leave it off at that, I guess.
Yeah.
What about y'all?
I really have no idea what's going to happen. And I guess there's like a lot of free space in that for, creativity. So, I don't know.
They could literally do whatever they want right
They
now.
could literally do whatever they want
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah.
And as
The
long as it looks cool,
playing
I'll be like,
field
okay.
is leveled,
Right.
literally.
Yeah.
Shouldn't the visibility in the next episode be so zero because there should be ash and smoke everywhere?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
It should be like ground zero.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
they
yeah.
should, but it was like all
Stuff.
clear. And
Like air quality and
like
King's
you should not be
Landing,
able
poor,
to see anything.
Very poor.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know.
You know, but they don't care.
Like knowing them and knowing the lack of consistency, I don't think they're going to pay
just
attention
be
to that.
like, And the
air's
smoke's
gonna-
clear.
We don't have the budget.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they
Pet
have
your
a budget
dog.
to pet Ghost.
Pet your dog.
God, we're never gonna see
Pet your
Ghost.
dog.
Oh my God.
We're never going to see Ghost
That
again,
was so
I know.
stupid.
Oh, God, he's in
The
North.
direwolves were like just so pointless.
Okay, so, well, on that very, very happy note,
Happy note.
that seems to be like our MO these days. On that happy note, because we end off.
happy people.
We should start talking about Game of Thrones in the beginning and then end with news, just so we're like a little happier. So,
Things to look forward
right.
to.
Yeah.
So next week we'll be back with our breakdown of the final episode of Game of
Oh,
Thrones.
Jesus.
I'll probably cry.
I don't know
Me too. I'll
probably
what we're
cry,
planning
yeah.
to do, where we're planning to watch it.
From relief.
No, I'll cry because I'll be sad it's over.
Right.
Same.
Me too.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah,
we should.
Yeah.
But join us next week, same time, 8 p.m., twitch.tv/PanGeekery. Hit us up on all the social networks, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, We don't have a Snapchat. That's all right.
don't
Other
need
things.
one.
It's not that kind
Yeah.
of show.
It doesn't
I
last.
know. I want to say thank you to our sponsors, Jimmy John's, and to PwC, our location sponsors. Thank you. Thank you to our crew. Y'all are awesome. Thanks to the cast.
You guys
Yay.
rock.
And crew.
Thank
No,
you. Great job.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
yes,
thank you,
thank you,
chat.
Chat? Really?
Sorry we didn't get
awesome
to address
comments.
everybody's
Yeah.
comments, but we've been reading them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dad's playing
At least I have,
badly.
yeah.
MJ Flores.
Fire Resistant Podcast.
Fire Resistant
Joey
Podcast.
Gunn.
Joey Gunn. Y'all are great.
Everyone. Yeah.
Y'all are heroes.
Yeah.
You're my Azora High. So
soon.
another
Too
thing to be
high.
said.
Too
Sorry.
Nothing now, so.
All right.
Too soon.
See everybody next week. Thank you.
Bye.
Let's try to clap over my mic.
PanGeekery Podcast, covering all things geek from an all-diverse perspective. Visit us online at www